Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Monday edition on WTF Nation Radio, and I'm your host, Redleg. Aloha Snack Bar, everyone. Thanks for joining me here tonight. Coming up on tonight's show, we'll cover the usual current events, including why this month sucks for me. There's a couple of reasons. Number one, it is the month of poorly executed beards, as evidenced by this crap that's growing on my face that looks and feels terrible, and I cannot wait until the month is over so I can get rid of it. And I will also be 40 this month, so not really digging November that much. Yikes. Also coming up tonight, my guest, Bob Owens, is the editor and also a major contributor to something that you may have seen on the interwebs. Bearing Arms. He's pro-gun. He's pro-cop. He's no nonsense. This guy shares a lot of good information, and I'm hoping that Bob and I will hit it off famously, like peas and carrots. Also, I'm gonna try to take some phone calls tonight, assuming that the phone system is not completely dicked up like it has been in the past. 415-889-8367 is the number if you'd like to call in. 415-889-8367. Hopefully it works. Also, you can come and join us in our live chat, the raw and uncensored live chat at WTFNationRadio.com. If you would like to do that, welcome to everybody, new and old listeners alike. Hi. So, as stated here in the... Oh, how rude of me. Raptor Mom and Jim Beam are here.
Hey, y'all.
I'm such an asshole.
Well,
forgive me. I'm trying to rush right into things. Yeah. I'm just trying to rush right into things. I really want to talk about with the WTF Nation and maybe get some feedback about this thing that happened recently on an American Airlines flight.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I gave them my earful.
This from the Huffington Post. Gold Star dad says family was booed by first-class passengers. A Gold Star family on an American Airlines flight to pick up their son's body after he was killed in Afghanistan said they were booed by first-class travelers. The reason? Passengers in those pricey seats were annoyed that the family was allowed to disembark first to catch a connecting flight. This, according to the slain soldier's father, Stuart Perry. It was just disgusting behavior from the people in first class. It was terrible to see, said Perry. You could see the disappointment from the flight crew. Now, this man's son, Sergeant John Perry, was killed on November 12th in a suicide attack inside Bagram Airfield. He said his son was able to stop the bomber before he reached his target, which was a 5K race that was held inside the base. So what I want to know from the WTF Nation, what would be a fitting punishment for these shitbags who booed this Gold Star fan? Put yourself in this guy's shoes. His son was killed by a suicide bomber in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. They get on a plane to fly to take possession of their son's body. And the first-class passengers have the audacity to complain, and not just complain, but to boo them because they were allowed to disembark the flight before anyone else.
You want to know what my first thought about that is?
Ooh, Shane, good one. Send them to Afghanistan. I'm sorry, go ahead.
was all I could think about here is this family is grieving. Their son's not flying next to them. He is literally in the cargo hold underneath their feet. And with them booing them on that flight, that's going to be engraved in their memories forever. Forever. That's how they're going to remember their son's, like, I mean, that's not going to be the sole reason why they remember their son's death, but that's stuck with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. You know what? Shame on you, citizens of America, who have zero respect for the men and women who would lay down their lives in the defense of this country, whether or not you agree with the politics of the United States military being in the Middle East or elsewhere in the world. These men and women didn't ask to be sent over there, but they answered the call in the service of their nation, and they went over there, and unfortunately, some of them don't come back alive. The least you could do is shut the fuck up and sit in your seat for a couple of more minutes while the family gets off the plane. The grieving family who just lost a son gets off the plane and goes on about their business.
Mm-hmm.
One comment for a befitting punishment would be to send the people who booed to Afghanistan. Knee to the groin. Allie says they should be banned from flying first class. Well, the airline's not going to pass up the opportunity to get that money from those people. But are we regressing back to the type of attitude that we had towards the men and women in armed forces
in the 1960s?
Back in the Vietnam era? Yeah. Thomas says, is there more to the story? Did something else happen? We need to know the scenario that led up to this before laying judgment, just like we can expect to be given a chance before we are judged. Is there something else? Thomas, no, I have seen nothing else in any account of this that says anything else happened. By all accounts, the family, the Gold Star family, was allowed to disembark the aircraft first, and the first class passengers, who usually are allowed to get off the plane first, had a problem with it and were vocal about it. It's unacceptable behavior. I don't see how there is more to the story. I have not seen an account to the contrary by anyone.
Well, I mean, they allow people with physical disabilities to disembark first also. So, I mean, would they boo them because they're crippled?
They might boo them because they're used to having their way and having everything handed to them. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just speculating. I guess I flew first class on my way back from Denver recently, and it was cool. But at no point did I ever feel like looking back over my shoulder into the economy cabin and going, peasants. And had there been a Gold Star family on my flight back to Memphis, I would have walked back into the cabin wherever they were and escorted them out. It was one of the most disrespectful and lowest things that you could possibly do.
They might as well just join the Church of Westboro, the Westboro Baptist Church.
Oh my God! Ron says drop them off in Libya and give them Hillary's number for help. Their luggage should be lost for an extended period of time. I've seen varying comments on Facebook in response to this incident, and they have run the gamut from I would have spoken to them to I would have yelled at them and told them to shut the hell up to I would have physically assaulted the people that were And listen, I don't advocate physically assaulting anyone listen, I cannot tell you to physically assault somebody, but that kind of thing happened. I think a round of applause might have gone through the rest of the cabin because, I mean, it's a case of a bad apple. I don't think everybody on that aircraft held the same opinion as the snotty, well-to-do dickweeds flying up in first class. And I hope that this is not a reflection on the overall attitude towards service members by the people of the United States. I can only hope. Yeah, Omen likes the luggage idea. They lose their luggage indefinitely. By the way, flying first class into Memphis doesn't mean a damn thing as it pertains to your luggage. You're still going to wait like 40 minutes for it. I walked from the aircraft to baggage claim and stood around for half an hour. They're driving the luggage from the aircraft to baggage claim, and I beat them there.
You mean first class luggage doesn't get first class treatment?
It supposedly it does. Thanks, United Airlines, by the way, for taking forever with my freaking bags.
I hope what this family went through is an isolated incident.
I do too.
And we never hear about this again.
Hello, Brian Kemp. How are you? Sorry if anybody said hello to me and I've missed it. Hi, everyone. How are you? I hope you're well on this Monday before Thanksgiving. Full cavity searches for first-class passengers. Now you're talking, John. Everyone, I'm sure, has Thanksgiving plans, but there are a lot of soldiers who cannot get home for Thanksgiving for whatever reason, because it's too expensive or it's too far or this reason or that reason. Fortunately for those soldiers, yearly U.S. Army WTF Moments runs a program where they match these soldiers with families who are willing to host them for Thanksgiving. This year, over 2,000 volunteers responded to the request by U.S. Army WTF Moments to match them and to open their homes for soldiers for Thanksgiving. We have matched 378 soldiers to host this year. So every soldier who has requested a place to go now has a Thanksgiving dinner to go to. It's all thanks to the generosity of the WTF Nation, and I thought that story was a nice contrast to the one that we just talked about, where people were being complete disrespectful dickholes to this Gold Star family. So all the hosts who are hosting soldiers and all of the soldiers who are being hosted have been notified via email, so check your mail. Thank you to everybody who offered to host. And there are still people who are the offers to host are still pouring in. So if you're still looking for a place to go,
you can come to my house.
Yeah, you can go to Radmom's house if you're at Fort Bliss. I'm not going to be here. I mean, you can come to my house and hang out, but I'm going to be out of town.
Oh, nice.
I'll leave a key under the mat.
To the Casa de la Redleg.
Yeah, just help yourself to everything. Don't take any of my shit when you leave, though, please. And stay off the radio. Don't go back in the studio. Leave all that stuff alone. Alexander says, we must remold our society. Korea requires all males to serve their country for some time. Patriotism here is strong. How can we implement this change? Could this unite us as a country? Alexander's right. There's compulsory military service for all males in Korea. And if I remember correctly, it's something like 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. It's some kind of like, cute amount of time. Like they did 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. Something like that. Anyways, I don't disagree with compulsory service. Steven says Germany does it also. I didn't know that. I think compulsory military service is a good idea because it gives you an incentive. Well, not necessarily an incentive, but it kind of makes you appreciate the country a little more when you've served the country in that manner. And A.A. Ron would go so far as to say, I think the same should be for citizenship. If you want to be a citizen of the United States, then you should serve in the military. These are all good ideas. But what's it going to do to the standards when you force people to serve in the military? How is it going to affect the quality of soldier you get? Somebody who wants to be there and volunteers versus somebody who's, somebody who's forced to be there.
I mean, what about, they used to talk about people, going to go to college, join the military or the Peace Corps or something like that. I mean,
so you're saying
that option work?
Like Amy says, you should have some kind of volunteer public service for 2 years. Something. Here we go with the phones again. I can't answer this call that's coming in. Why is this not working? Why am I paying money for something that doesn't work?
Did you
I don't know.
Skype lately?
Yeah.
Did the person calling in update their Skype lately?
I didn't know. They're calling in from a telephone number.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is a problem. I'm going to have to switch to something else. Service guarantee citizenship. Would you like to know more? Guys, I apologize. I can't take your phone calls, and that's unfortunate because we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight.
Let me hang up and call back since you called me. That might have an effect on it.
I don't know. I don't think that it will. This is an ongoing thing that we cannot. Yeah, we cannot accept incoming phone calls. I don't get it.
We've had this for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, and this is what the station's money's going to. Something's gonna have to change. All right, moving forward. Oh, I can't get hung up on technicalities. I lose momentum when I start talking about shit like that. You guys want to talk about Kanye West?
Does he need money
Holy
again?
shit.
Fuck stick extraordinaire. What we're segueing here from, negative to positive to, from Gold Star families being booed on planes to soldiers having a place to go for Thanksgiving who otherwise would not to, Kent, I know. Listen, guys, I know you don't want to talk about Kanye West. I want to talk about him for a minute. Fuck stick extraordinaire. This guy, why do we pay so much attention to as a nation and glorify these shitbag talentless hacks? It's like I can't talk about Kanye West and not talk about the Kardashians, who are famous for what?
A sex tape.
For nothing. They're famous for they are famous for nothing. That was a rhetorical question. They're famous for jack shit. Why are we glorifying these people? Why are we putting these people up on pedestals? Get your fucking heads out of your asses, people of America. There are a lot more pressing matters than Kanye West canceling his fucking what does it say? No more stops on his St. Pablo tour, according to the rap star's publicist. The fact that this dude is a star is baffling to me. They gave no reason, but it follows a series of rants from the stage in which he criticized Beyonce, somebody else I couldn't give a fuck about, and Jay-Z, Hillary Clinton, and the radio industry. Why do we give this dude any attention like I'm doing right now?
Oh, well, we're kind of poking fun at him. So,
well, I'm not really poking fun at him. I'm poking fun at the people of America for paying attention to this guy. This dude, I don't know if you guys remember this. He demanded that Mark Zuckerberg back him financially. For what? He's so great. I'm gonna let you finish. Didn't he? Wasn't that where he talked about how awesome Beyonce is, and now he's trashing her?
Yep.
Yeah, that tells you kind of where the country is right now. They're worried about Kanye West.
I listened to that whole rant, and all I could think about is, dude, you need to take a fucking English class.
I didn't listen to any of it. This was a headline that popped up while I was scrolling through various news articles.
It would make your grammar Nazi sensors go off.
I'm so tired of seeing his name. What's the appeal? Is there something that I'm missing about this dude?
Nah.
Okay.
He's just another snowflake like the rest of the Hillary supporters.
So, if you're this goat fucker, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, you remember when Hillary kept talking about Baghdadi?
Yeah, it kind of sounded like she was talking about some kind of porn star.
Right. She kept talking about Baghdadi during the presidential debates, and and every time she would say it, when we were doing our coverage of the presidential debates, every time she would mention Baghdadi, we would get a lot of LOLs in the fucking Facebook live chat because, Baghdadi. He's becoming increasingly paranoid and reportedly refuses to sleep without a suicide vest. He's become intemperate, losing self-control and showing more signs of paranoia, according to messages sent from inside Mosul to the Iraqi military. Iraqi troops pushed deeper into eastern Mosul Saturday, backed by aerial support from the U.S.-led international coalition, but faced stiff resistance from ISIS fighters. Meanwhile, al-Baghdadi has cut down on his movements and neglects his appearance. Wait a minute. What do one of these goat fuckers look like when they neglect their appearance? I wonder.
They look like they haven't bathed in months.
Do they look like I look right now with a really poorly executed half-ass beard that I've been growing for 21? This is what I managed to pull off in 21 days, everybody. Look at this. It's pathetic.
They look worse than you.
Yeah. So, let's see here. He lives underground and has tunnels that stretch to different areas. He doesn't sleep without his suicide bomber vest so he can set it off if he's captured. 2 weeks ago, he released a new message urging his followers to keep up the fight for Mosul. His rallying cry came in a sermon-like recording that was probably full of a lot of durka. More than half an hour long, distributed by the militant's media arm. It was not clear when the recording was produced. Who cares? They're going to get this dude eventually. He's going to step out of his cave for a smoke, and a J-Down's going to fall on his head.
Or they'll, you'll see in the headlines that they got him, they hit him with the suicide vest with the sniper round.
Poetic justice.
Like that one guy who was famous for using a flamethrower on his hostages. I can't even remember that douchebag's name.
Right. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Toasty. Oh, these like speeches these recorded speeches that they do. You listen to them in Turkish, and it's all just a bunch of haka durka laka laka. That's me speaking Arabic. But the English translations, oh my God, they are biblical. Here's one. Here's an English translation of one of these Durka speeches. "Oh, you who seek martyrdom, start your actions. Turn the night of the disbelievers into day. Totally decimate their territories and make the blood flow like rivers." It's very biblical and apocalyptic. I think these guys they probably have syphilis, and it's fucking with their brains. Who talks like that? I mean, even when I get on my tallest soapbox and try to be as proper as I can, never once have I ever said, "Oh, you who seek martyrdom, start your actions." Aloha snack bar, everybody. Jesus Christ. Hakadurka. These fucking guys. That's something that needs to be eradicated. I'm not going to get into it because I'm going to start talking about religion, and then the show is really going to go badly for me tonight. Stop being militant dickweeds. How about that?
There you go.
Oh my God. So Donald Trump released a recorded video message to the nation this evening in which he outlined several executive actions he plans to take on his first day in office. Everybody wants to know what Donald Trump's going to do in his first day in office. What's he going to get rid of? What walls is he going to build? So on and so forth. He says, and I quote, "I'm going to issue our notification of intent to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership." That was the 11-country trade agreement pushed by President Barack Obama. He says he will instead negotiate bilateral trade deals that, quote, "bring jobs and industry back to the country." He's also promised to cancel job-killing restrictions on the production of American energy, including shale energy and clean coal, though he did not specify which restrictions he planned to eliminate. This step would create, according to him, many millions of high-paying jobs. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that's a little bit of a stretch. Many millions of high-paying jobs. I mean, it may create either many millions of jobs or a few high-paying jobs, but I doubt it's going to create both millions of high-paying jobs. I don't.
Maybe like good paying middle class jobs.
Well, yeah, maybe. What's his? To me, when Donald Trump says high-paying jobs, it's like
six figures.
Yeah, like baller status. Maybe he considers baller status. Maybe he considers a high-paying job to be like, I don't know, $50,000-$60,000 a year. I mean, but that's peanuts in a lot of many parts of the country.
Yeah, because that's about how much we make.
Because they talked to Mrs. Redleg today. Here we go. Let me get off on a tangent. It has nothing to do with the show. All right, we went to. Am I like sniffling on the air? I sound like Donald Trump at the presidential debates. I gotta stop that. So we went to Mrs. Redleg and I went to St. Augustine, Florida, Crescent Beach, in July, and we liked it so much we're gonna go back again.
Oh.
Next year,
nice.
Probably in like September, when it's not as hot, and we're gonna stay at the same place, but we're gonna kind of upgrade from we're going to upgrade to one of the suites on the balcony overlooking the ocean. I mean, there's not a bad room in the place, but I want to walk out on the balcony like naked
and see
with my with my cock and balls out and let them cascade in the ocean breeze. That's a goal
I
of
do
mine.
that at every hotel I stay in.
Yeah, I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, do you always go to beachfront hotels, Jim?
No.
Yeah, but that's a goal of mine, is to walk out on the balcony and let my cock and balls air out in the ocean breeze. Anyway, I don't even remember why I started talking about. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, so anyway, very reasonably priced, also, especially in September. So I got curious because when we were there in what's up, Brian Nip, everybody, how you doing? When we were there, I liked it so much that I made the statement, I don't want to go back to Memphis, and I wasn't kidding. So I started looking at properties in Crescent Beach, in that area. Holy fuck. You got to be a baller to live there. One of the examples was, like, one of these condos is for sale, and we're talking about, a fucking living area and a small bedroom and a bathroom, and that's it. Not very many square feet. All of them. The cheapest one was right at $200,000. There was a 1,250 square foot house for upwards of $900,000 because it's on the beach. Because it's on the beach, but that's where I'd want to live. So maybe I can get one of these baller ass Trump jobs in the clean coal industry and save up for a little while, and then finally get my place down on the beach in St. Augustine, Florida. Because it's such a nice
Sounds
place.
like a plan.
It's not like, I don't want to go to the dude. I don't want to go near Daytona or fucking and I don't want to be on the Gulf side. Jay Reddy, if you're listening, Jay Reddy, I want to live on the beach on the Atlantic side, not fucking the party spots. I want to be where the older folks are, because it's kind of a slow pace, relaxed environment, and I'm pushing 60 to hear Pi tell it. I'm over all that fucking partying stuff, right? So, yeah. St. Augustine, Crescent Beach, Highway A1A. Jay Ready, find me a spot. He lives. Jay Reddy says he lives right by the beach. I don't want to live by the beach, Jay Reddy. I want to live on the beach. It's a goal. Guy can dream, right? Ugh, my soda's gotten watered down here. One of these days, guys. But yeah, we'll probably go back for oh, my sinuses. Oh, Jesus, this weather change is killing me. Hold on.
Are you running for office?
I'm gonna mute my microphone.
Really running for office?
Oh,
To
this
get
is
the
so
sniffles?
bad. I do. So everybody, wow, how did I get off on that tangent? Seek your
You were
martyrdom.
talking
I think you were talking about moving to Florida.
Seek your martyrdom. Oh, Trump is going to give everybody millions of high-paying jobs, many millions of high-paying jobs, which to me means 10 plus millions of high-paying jobs. I don't want to own a private beach, Jay Reddy. I just want to live on the beach. Other people can go get their cock and balls out on my beach. I don't care. Or boobs or whatever. I'm going to do that, by the way, when we go again. Let me get Mrs. Redleg to take a picture of me with my on the balcony with my junk hanging out in the ocean breeze, and I'm going to send it to you.
Oh, thank you.
No, not you.
Oh, good.
Jim.
Going to send it to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Federal.
We'll make some kind of post out of it.
Sure. Federal authorities arrested a Brooklyn man today accused of attempting to join ISIS. They said was recorded plotting an attack on Times Square. In a complaint unsealed in federal court in Brooklyn, authorities charged Mohammed Rafiq Naji, 37 years old, for intentionally attempting to provide material to support and resources to provide material support. Oh, my God, Redleg, get it together. And resources to ISIS. Mr. Naji, who was born in Yemen and is a legal U.S. resident, was arrested at his home in Brooklyn early today. He appeared in federal court later, where he was held without bail. In a statement, U.S. Attorney Robert Caper said, "We will continue to identify and prosecute individuals like Naji who seek to empower our nation's enemies and endanger our citizens." Susan Kellman, Goatfucker's lawyer, said her client was, quote, in shock. She added that his recorded comments, which the complaint said included his hopes of carrying out an act of terrorism similar to July's attack in Nice, France, might have been taken out of context. Let me read that again. She says that his recorded comments, which the complaint said included his hopes of carrying out an act of terrorism similar to July's attack in Nice, France, might have been taken out of context. How do you take a statement of, I want to carry out an act of terrorism similar to what happened in France, out of context? Isn't that kind of on its face an act of terrorism? Just even stating it. What the fuck? How do you... Hey, I want to kick... Raptor Mom.
Yeah.
I want to kick you in the vagina.
Okay.
Now, can anybody take that out of context?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I couldn't imagine how they would present that in a different context.
Oh, my God. Lawyer's going to lawyer, I guess. She says, we don't know if he actually said those things or if they were fed to him by a confidential source. Well, what the fuck? What difference does it make? He's still involved with terrorism on some level if they're being fed to him by a source.
Of course.
Guilt by association. Guilt by association. I mean, it happens all the time. According to the complaint, this douchebag has expressed support for ISIS on social media since at least 2014 when he was communicating privately with an unidentified confidential source who is paid for information he provides to law enforcement. He also traveled to Turkey and Yemen between March and September 2015, attempting several times without success to join ISIS. It's very hard to get in, he emailed his girlfriend. What the fuck? He tried to get into ISIS several times and could not. I guess that's being taken out of context also. Other times, he allegedly sent video files in which gunfire could be heard in the background, though it isn't clear whether he ever joined the organization. He returned to the United States in September 2015. So, for over a year, this dude, who I guess got rejected by ISIS, has been hanging out in Brooklyn, plotting an attack on Times Square.
How bad do you have to be rejected by ISIS?
Oh, man.
That's what I'm laughing at, being rejected by ISIS.
His lawyer says that dude had a legitimate reason for being in Yemen because he had a wife and 3 children living there. She didn't know whether he had family in New York. Back in the U.S., Mr. Najee continued his support for ISIS, the complaint said. On July 19th, 2016, days after a man barreled his truck through a town square in Nice, France, killing more than 80 people, Mr. Najee expressed interest in staging a similar attack in Times Square, this according to the complaint. In a recorded conversation with the informant, Mr. Najee said that ISIS wanted a terrorist attack in the Midtown Manhattan tourist attraction. He discussed using a garbage truck to crush pedestrians in the area. They want an operation in Times Square, he said, according to the complaint. This is the kind of stuff that Donald Trump has agreed, not agreed, but stated that he wants to eradicate in the country. Something's got to happen. A lot of people think Trump's being heavy-handed with his immigration policies. Maybe it's better to catch to keep out a couple of potentially good citizens than to let in a few potentially bad ones.
Wasn't there like a meme out there, like had a bag, not a bag, but a bowl of like M&Ms or Skittles, and it said, "Would you still grab a handful of candy and eat them if you were told like 10% of them were like poisoned?"
I don't know. Aaron says, Aaron says, I smell a civil war. You know what, dude? I hate to even entertain the thought that there's going to be another civil war in this country. My daughter and I talked several months ago about the way that the country's going, and I told her that I thought, unfortunately, that there would be another civil war in this country, and we were talking about the whole Black Lives Matter, race relations thing, and how we're going in retrograde as it pertains to race relations in this country. Thank you, Obama. And I place a large part of the blame squarely on the shoulders of Barack Obama for the way that race relations are going in this country, and not because. Because he is enabling these, I guess, borderline terrorist organizations, and that's what I consider Black Lives Matter to be. Domestic terrorist organization. Right up there with the KKK. But he's enabling them. He's coddling them. He's encouraging them. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's what we were talking about, my daughter and I, and I told her that I thought that there would be another civil war in this country. Probably not in my lifetime. Hopefully not in hers, but it's coming. Because, unless we get a leader, a chief executive, and a government that has the balls to unify this country along all lines, racial and otherwise, that we are definitely headed towards a civil war. There it is. Taylor says, technically we're in the second Civil War, not a typical type of war. And that, you know what, Taylor, it's an interesting perspective. And now that you've mentioned it, is it I think our guest that's coming up here in about 20 minutes can probably speak on this as well, because it's right up his alley. Is this guerrilla war being waged on law enforcement by a very small pocket of radicals in the country? Is it? guerrilla warfare being waged on our police officers.
I think so. It seems to, it seems to be moving in that direction.
Even if it's not overtly organized, it's following a common theme. So the propaganda, the information's getting out there, and people's minds are being warped. So maybe that's what it is. It's one way of looking at it. I'm open to discuss just about any possibility, any potential. Let's see. I want to hold all that stuff in reserve until we can get Bob on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Volunteers needed. You guys looking to get involved in a research study? The U.S. Army Research Laboratory is seeking volunteers for its study to evaluate the compatibility of protective equipment worn by U.S. soldiers with certain facial hair, hairstyles, and head coverings.
Interesting.
Yes, the Army Research Laboratory is looking for men between the ages of 18 to 55 with beards and shoulder length or longer hair, women between the ages of 18 to 55, and men or women between the ages of 18 to 55 with hair thicker than 2 inches from the scalp when pulled back. All participants will be required to wear respirators, an Army combat helmet, and components of the Joint Service Lightweight Integrated Suit technology. Some participants will also be required to wear head coverings during testing. They're bringing back the beards, man. The Army needs beards. Well, the Army doesn't need beards. You know what? And I'm not just saying this because I'm jealous because I can't grow a proper beard. Because like I said, I've been going at it for 21 days now, and this is the best I can muster. Look at that.
Looking a little scraggly.
Oh, it looks terrible. It just won't grow. I'm 39 years old, and it's the best I can pull off. 21 days worth of growth right there.
Rogaine and just rub it in on your face.
You know what? I don't really want a beard, but anyway. I'm not being a hater because I can't grow a beard. I don't get the big deal with beards. There, I said it. I don't understand it. Am I any less of a man because I don't have a beard? Is that it?
Nah.
Yeah, well. It's just a fad. It's a passing fad. Remember in the 70s? When nobody trimmed their pubes? That's pretty gross.
Bush League.
Beards are like man buns, says Alexander. I don't know, man. I just don't see the appeal. Look, you guys have no idea how irritated I am with this crap on my face right now. It's driving me nuts. It's a distraction. Like, I'm afraid I'm going to reach up here to scratch this and get in a fucking wreck while I'm driving. Because it's driving me crazy. I can't. Well, no, it's fucking No Shave November. I said I was going to see it through. So I got till my birthday. December 1st, this crap's coming off.
Face?
What?
Did that only count for your face?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because it looks like you shaved your head.
Oh, I do. Weekly. Yeah, No Shave November, I guess, is for the face. Oh, man. It's so aggravating. Like, when I lie in the bed at night, because I usually start out cuddling with Mrs. Redleg, and then I end up like on my you guys tell me if anybody else sleeps like this, on my stomach with my right knee drawn up and my left arm is like under my pillow sticking out, so I'm kind of like most of the way kind of on my face sort of, and it's pushing the fucking whiskers on my lip back up into my nose. So now I can't even sleep because of this crap. That sucks. I'll be glad when this is gone. I don't know what Mrs. Redleg thinks about it. I'm sure me kissing her with this crap on my face is not too pleasant. I mean, because if it's bothering my face, surely it's bothering hers. But I got to see it through to the end. 9 more days. I can't get it over fucking fast. This 9 days cannot go by fast enough. I hate it. No, I'm not going to shave it, Jay Reddy. I'm not going to do it. I said I wasn't going to. Oh, thank you, Ice, for sending me that. Guy always sending me shit while I'm on the air. You've had all day to do that. Guys, go. Oh no, wait! This fucking research study thing's over.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it ended November 10th. Oh well. Anyways, if you were interested, it was the Aberdeen Proving Ground. To go in there with you, men between the ages of 18 and 55 with beards and shoulder length or longer hair. And then it just said women between the ages of 18 to 55. And then
what kind of experiment were they doing?
Men, or they're fucking, I guess they're trying to see if protective masks are going to, and other equipment are going to work if you have like long hair and beards. That's not going to go over well with the old school guys.
No, it's not.
You get to shave like the fucking old NCOs that would make the guys with a shaven profile like go to the barbershop so they could go over them with the clippers on their face and get it as close as possible without violating their profile. Yeah.
Well, back in the day, they had a regulation that you had to shave every time before you put your uniform on. So that's how they used to fuck with people. They would get out of their uniform, put PTs on, and go back and put their uniform on. Have to shave before you put it on.
Dale says it's so you can wear your turban with your mop gear. Yeah, kind of. They're trying to figure out a way to make the protective mask work with your religious headgear. Aloha Snack Bar.
I got news for you. If you're in an area where there's some kind of toxin in the air and they holler about putting your gas mask on, I'm pretty sure said head turban shall be removed quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got some of the guys that are allowed to wear their turbans, the Sikhs that are allowed to wear their turbans in uniform. They have like fucking, camouflage pattern turbans, and they're allowed to have facial hair. There are exceptions, but they're few and far between. John says, I have a beard and a mask. I tried it. It doesn't seal. Of course it doesn't seal, bro. It's that's got to be like the rubber part of the mask on your skin in order to seal. Your facial hair is letting all the through. I said that with what kind of accent? Like a kind of a South Memphis, Orange Mound, Whitehaven area accent. I'm gonna get my hair did. All right, whatever. I was kind of wanting to hold on to this, and we'll talk about it when we get Bob on the phone. The there's been 4 police officers were shot yesterday in incidents around the country. An officer in Sanibel, Florida, was shot in a drive-by as he conducted a traffic stop. A Gladstone, Missouri officer was shot after a traffic stop that produced a foot chase and a shootout. A 20-year veteran of the St. Louis Police Department was wounded in what authorities characterize as an ambush. And San Antonio Police Detective Benjamin Marconi was killed outside police headquarters in what also appears to be an ambush. Now, the San Antonio police have arrested a suspect in the fatal ambush shooting of San Antonio PD Detective Benjamin Marconi. A SWAT team pulled over a vehicle on I-40 East near Ackerman Road around 4:20 this afternoon and made the arrest. A female and child were also inside the vehicle. The suspect has been identified as 31-year-old Otis Tyrone McCain. The capture of McCain means that all 4 suspects involved in the police officers' shootings yesterday are either dead or in custody, including George Bush. The guy who shot the St. Louis police sergeant last night is 19-year-old George Bush III from St. Louis.
Wow.
Yeah.
So two of the attackers, one McCain and Bush. Huh?
Yeah. Yep. Bush and McCain running around shooting cops. That was the one thing that it's bad that this is becoming almost commonplace, that this news isn't really news anymore. And what caught my attention was that the dude's name was George Bush, because that's the way the headline reads.
Oh,
George
we talked about headlines and stuff earlier today.
George Bush III identified as deceased St. Louis cop shooter. He's deceased, by the way. They shot his ass and killed him. The police did.
Good.
Yeah, good for him. Fuck him. That's what happens when you ambush the police. So they tracked him just after midnight. That they tracked him. Who was inside a vehicle, and when they pulled behind the vehicle, that he was in a vehicle with some woman, and when they got behind it, she pulled over. He got out and ran. And then while they were running, the suspect spotted an unmarked police car with two officers inside and fired a gunshot, which went through the windshield. After firing the gunshot, responding officers approached the area, and the suspect fired more shots. According to police, the responding officers, one of which was assigned to the FBI task force, returned fire, striking the suspect. I wonder how many times they shot this dude. Like, is that what took so long to identify this motherfuckers? They shot him up so bad that they had to, refer to his dental records?
We can only hope so.
Or DNA? I mean, that's the way you deserve to die when you shoot at the police.
Mm-hmm.
You should be shot until you are no longer recognizable.
Or they take you down the courthouse square and hang you right there right then.
Am I being biased because I'm an ex-cop?
No.
Is that the way they shot him hella times? Hunter says they shot him hella times. That's a lot, bro. Oh.
I've always lived the philosophy. Even when I was a kid, I felt this way. We don't pay our police officers and our soldiers to lose. End of story.
That's true. And that's something that always fucking, when people start talking about the militarization of the police, the police look like soldiers. Well, I mean, they're kind of fighting a war anymore on the streets.
Exactly. And I'm just like, if you guys wouldn't ambush police officers or have these fucking stupid riots and shit, they wouldn't have to have the need for all this gear.
When you when you go into battle, do you want to have a fucking pistol and hope for the best, or do you want to be assured that you are more armed and more heavily armed and armored than the person that you're gonna get in a gunfight with? No, you would have gone with overwhelming superior firepower. It fits the military and it fits police work. And as these shithead criminals continue to escalate the force that they have available to them, the police have to react in kind. They have to they have to be able to meet the threat. So, when the cops go to the trunk and come out with an AR-15 and body armor on, it's the militarization of the police. No, they want to go home that night.
Exactly.
Just like everybody else.
A.A. Ron says we need a wet beard contest.
Huh? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. I mean, I don't...
Depends on how you're going to get the beard wet.
I don't want to be involved in that. I'm kind of ashamed of this not quite beard that I have.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but you kind of look like a little avatar on the Xbox.
My Xbox avatar looks exactly like me, dude.
Well, there you go.
There's my point. You proved it.
Yeah. I have to fucking see if I can get a screenshot of it and show it to you. It looks exactly like me. That's kind of funny that you would bring that up. It's almost like you've seen it.
No, not me.
Now, this is a pitiful, pathetic excuse for a beard, man. I know. I don't deny it. But, No Shave November, I thought I'd do it. I got part of the way through it last year, and I was like, fuck this. I can't do this. But I'm going all the way this time. All the way to my birthday. Jay Reddy says it's a good color. It's so many different colors.
You have a red beard?
It's a whole bunch of different colors. And then there's the gray.
It is fall.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Fall colors. Hey, Ron, listen, don't be that way, dude. Or either don't be that way or that's really gross. He says, my mom has a better beard than you.
I changed the subject. Did you see the screenshots on Facebook of the chick that worked at Starbucks?
No.
It's on her profile. She put, I work at Starbucks in Lexington, Kentucky, and if anybody asked me to write Trump on their cup, I will spit in it.
Oh yeah.
That was at 3:13 p.m. on 18 November. On 1:49 p.m. 19 November, she writes, I have been fired from my job at the Starbucks in Lexington, Kentucky.
Turnabout's fair play, bitch. You don't work in food service and tell people you're gonna adulterate their food product, and then at least you didn't sound surprised. Oh my God, I can't believe I fucking lost my job at Starbucks. She's like, well, I lost my job. That's what you get. You disgusting cunt.
Yeah, I prefer my Starbucks unadulterated.
Yeah. Did you see the video about the striker on fire? Yes, we saw that. And Dan says to get my beard hair transplanted to the top of my dome piece. It doesn't match. It's not the same. It's not even the same color or consistency.
No, you can always dye the rest of your hair to match it.
No, I could just keep cutting what little bit I got left off and
donate it for
waves
for kids.
One thing is that the older I get, the less I care about my personal appearance. I mean, I don't want to look like a total shitbag, but yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. He's out of ideas. I stopped caring. I mean, as long as Mrs. Redlegs is still
into you
hanging around.
Well, I mean, as long as she will still touch me and stuff, then I'm okay. When she starts avoiding contact with me, like intimate contact with me, then I might need to change something. I gotta tell you, man, this shit's driving me nuts. I hate to keep harping on it, but you guys with beards, I don't see how you fucking put up with it. This little bit of hair on my face is driving me insane. Woo! Enough about that. Let's take a break. We come back, hopefully. Hopefully we'll have Bob Owens on here, and we can talk about something besides our stupid facial hair. How about that? You guys okay with
Shots.
that? All right, fine. I guess we'll do it. We'll take this break. We'll be back in a few minutes, guys, right here on WTF Nation Radio.
What's up, guys? This is Matt Best, and you're listening to WTF Nation Radio. So listen the fuck in.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Good evening, boys and girls. This is Tim Kennedy. I'm a Special Forces sniper, a Ranger qualified Green Beret, a UFC fighter, and your host moving forward for this next hour on WTF Nation Radio. Please listen to us and the shenanigans that we're going to say. We will insult you. There will be racial slurs. We will be sexist. We will offend you. But there will be magic, and a unicorn will be raped. So enjoy the show. Thank you for listening.
Well, doesn't Pi identify as a unicorn?
I don't want to be raped by Tim Kennedy. Fuck that.
Well, you might. That may be the best thing that ever happens to you, Pi.
Fuck London. Let it burn.
There's some guys here that like the bottom half.
You guys see what I did there?
Yeah.
I went to Army Sniper School. I went to Marine Sniper School. I went to Special Forces Sniper School. I went to Special Operations Target Interdiction Course. I went to Aerial Sniper School. I spent a lot of time behind the gun.
I got a man crush on you, but why the fuck were you wearing that fucking skin-colored fucking G-string fucking thing. Why didn't you just go balls out?
The animal flesh that was supposed to be covering, my balls and cock.
I got some fucking words for that dickhole.
Narcissistic, ethnocentric, cockhole. So what's up, guys? Happy Friday night.
Obviously, you guys are fucking less American than I am. And I'm from fucking motherfucking Thailand. Fucking flagship of the world, bitches. And I'm from Thailand, you motherfucker. Hey, motherfucker.
This site is so funny. It's like a kid having fucking cancer. It never gets old.
Like 109-year-olds.
Africa's not really a forgiving place if you don't know what you're doing.
Motherfuckers that live there have to worry about their 9-year-old kid getting eaten by a goddamn lion.
Mommy, they picked up!
You're going to run out of 9-year-olds.
Fucking your cardio's that good, you're just going to fucking fight for eternity against 9-year-olds?
Yeah, I'm just imagining myself at Hell's Gates, with like the Spartans. And they're like, what's your occupation? He's like, I'm a plumber. And this guy's like, what's your occupation? He's like, oh, I'm a builder. And he's like, Spartans, what's your occupation? They're like, I'm just like looking down this alley with an infinite number of 9-year-olds, and I can't imagine a world that I'm not smiling. Paso de Robles.
And so he's walking by my Cadalto.
Initiate Google search.
So I went to this very rigorous, arduous course to become a male masseuse that services only men. If you search Timbo, Timbo, on Craigslist under services, you'll find a picture of me with a mustache, of course.
That's fucking awesome.
Besides that little thing, I also drew a Hitler mustache on an Obama poster. It's 1 part cocaine. It's 1 part just straight coffee grounds, and then a little bit of baking soda just mixed in there, and you snort it and then mix it with saline solution and take it intravenously. And you're pretty much good to go for a good 4 or 5 days.
You know what? We're even throwing garbage dog for free.
Disgusting and repulsive.
Raptor Mom, where are your pants right now?
They are off.
But Tim's a raptor. Fuck honorary.
I eat like a gay bird.
How is the kindest way to tell someone that they're weird and you don't want them to be around loaded weapons?
Shots fired! Shots fired! Take cover!
Bow, bow. McNasty. McNasty. McNasty gets a sticker. Ice is on the job, man.
And then you shake his fucking wig, and then you shut the damn truck and shut the door of the truck, and then move on.
Touch him up if you got to. Are you picking up what I'm putting down, man? Handle his ass. And we handled his motherfucking ass, and we took all the snitching right out of him in the fucking squad bay.
Exactly. Everybody gets embarrassed when they get hit by ice.
Fuck, it was hot as balls.
It's hot. You lose. You lose, man. What did you put on Twitter earlier today about shit?
We don't hire uggos. Fuck you, Sergeant Daisy. Take some time out of this show right now to put you and Nick Parmigiano on blast. That motherfucker flaked on me on Tuesday. He was supposed to show up. Fuck you, Nick Parmigiano. Kick him in the ball sack and run.
Katy Perry, God bless her. Beautiful, busty soul.
I do like her titties.
Well,
Fucking amen.
I was going to ask if you were aware of.
Our demographic is actually men, 25 to 34. The most common device used for accessing U.S. Army WTF are mobile devices. Right now, currently between June 17th and June 23rd, we have reached over 9,289,000 people with a page like every day about 6,000 per. Currently, we have approximately 765,000 views for all of our videos, U.S. Army WTF Productions.
What are we getting at here?
You owe 3 hours.
Go home, Raptor 6. You're drunk.
No, I am home. Correct me if I'm wrong, Redleg, but U.S. Army What the Fuck Moments page has almost close to 10 million followings, and thanks, Bobby, for being the second week no call, no show, you shitty intern.
Please won't you be my neighbor?
Quit embarrassing me, Jim.
Hi, television neighbor. I'm glad we're together again. And that's the end of Badger sucking Redleg's dick again. Would you be mine? Would you have your cock in my mouth?
Yeah, that's a 719. That's for Carson. Yeah, that's for Carson, you faggot. You want a dick pic? What's up? Are we in the air? Your fucking Nissan Sentra isn't a fucking race car. Faggot, you fucking moron. Read a book.
Me and Raptor 6 trying to have a moment. Do you mind?
Yeah, we're trying to fucking bond.
What's going on, everybody? We're back with the second hour of the Monday edition here on WTF Nation Radio. Thank you for hanging out and joining us here tonight. I'm Redleg, your host, and I'm joined tonight by Raptor Mom and Jib Beam, my intrepid co-host for the night. And tonight's guest joining us now is Mr. Bob Owens. He is the Bob. You're not only are you an author, you're also the editor-in-chief, are you not, of Bearing Arms?
I am the primary editor of Bearing Arms. We also have the lovely Jen Jakes, who is my co-editor.
Oh, my goodness. The lovely. I like the sound of that. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Thanks for having me on.
Now, your site, bearingarms.com, the reason that we got turned on to you in the first place was your reaction to and I'll read the headline here. The parents of this dead robber are really mad his victim had a gun. This is this was a headline that a news story that we talked about on the show right after it happened. This guy went in to rob a Pizza Hut and wound up getting his ass handed to him by an employee who was carrying. And so, lest anybody get the wrong idea, Bearing Arms is a dare I say pro Second Amendment website.
Just slightly.
Just slightly. And there seems to be an overwhelming pro-law enforcement theme there also.
Well, we are pro-Constitution. And the vast majority, and while every occupation has a few bad apples in it, the vast majority of law enforcement professionals are good folks. And I've done a lot of training with them over the years. And, there's going to be there's jerks in every profession. But in general, as long as law enforcement officers are doing what they're supposed to do and doing their jobs correctly, we're pretty much pro-law enforcement.
Now, as a former law enforcement officer myself, and I'm sure you probably hear this time and again from other law enforcement officers, but it's a big deal to cops to know that there are people and organizations and communities out there that have their back and understand them for who they are, and that they're officers of the peace. And there's an interesting point that was brought up in the article that you wrote about this idiot that robbed a Pizza Hut. Where was that?
That was in Charlotte.
In Charlotte. That this dude's mother said that it wasn't the place of the employee to protect himself, that was the job of the police officers. And as you so succinctly pointed out in the article, the job of protecting yourself falls on you. It's not the job of the police to protect the individuals.
And that's exactly right. I mean, every officer I've ever met would love to be able to be there when a bad guy does something and catch him in the act. That's the dream, is to catch bad folks doing bad things. But that's not always what we're going to have. I mean, you guys are just spread too far against too large of an area to catch everything that's going on. I've seen some phenomenal response times to things, but it's very rare that they catch somebody in the act. So the person who is most responsible for defending your life and the lives of your family is you.
Right. And, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. Like you said, Bob, the police would love to be able to catch people in the act. But the job of law enforcement officers is to enforce the laws. They're not in the personal protection racket. So
that's absolutely correct. And the Supreme Court has said as much. It's not their job to protect any individual on this planet. They are there. Law enforcement is there to protect the community as a whole, the state, the nation, the city, whatever their particular jurisdiction is. And they're not going to be there all the time, and nor are they supposed to.
So Timia Hairston, who is the mother of Michael Grace Jr., the would-be robber who got shot and killed at this Pizza Hut, said she wanted to know, why in the hell did this guy have a gun? To which I can only answer, it was his right under the Constitution of the United States to have a gun. That's why he had a gun.
Absolutely. He was a North Carolina concealed carry permit holder, and he may have fallen slightly afoul of company policy, but your right to live is the most essential of all natural rights. And so he kind of looked at the Domino's Pizza, I think was Pizza Hut.
Yeah, it was Pizza Hut.
The Pizza Hut corporate policy, and said, my hide's a little bit more important than your corporate policy. And so he did what he felt he had to do to save, to keep his life safe. And in that particular instance, he saved the lives of several other employees that night.
Absolutely. And effectively deterred the robbery. The other two guys hauled ass. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, when you get sprayed with your buddy's gray matter, it does tend to have a detrimental effect on your morale.
Right. She said that he was shot in the head, and she thinks the shooting may even have been personal. She says, this wasn't a body shot. This was a head shot. My son was shot in the left side of his head, just behind his ear. A head shot is personal. No, shooting somebody, period, is relatively personal. And it's personal because you're what's more personal than defending yourself from a potentially lethal situation? Of course it was personal.
I can't think of anything more personal than trying to save your life or putting your life on the line for your fellow man.
Right.
And both things happened here. This employee was not the only person in the store when these three guys busted in. And sadly, there's a pretty well documented history of when folks come and hit these restaurants late at night, they tend to drag them in the back, and a lot of times there's no survivors. So it was well within reason for the employee to see the threat coming in and, not wait for them to politely ask for anything. He saw a gun, he reacted, and took care of the threat.
Now, you say here in your article, and I'm going to read this paragraph. The honest truth is that every human being is born with the natural human right to arm themselves for the defense of their lives from both rogue governments and violent criminals. Your dead thug of a son was one of 3 vile human predators who obtained deadly weapons and put the lives of innocent people at risk, and likely would have ended their lives without a second thought over the petty contents of a restaurant cash drawer. A lot of times the defense of these human predators is that this is their only means of providing for themselves and their family. What a load of shit that anybody could possibly even attempt to justify armed robbery or any other crime of violence or even against someone's property by saying, well, it's the only way they can provide for themselves, is a cop-out.
If that is truly the only way that you can provide for yourself, that strongly suggests to me that you have made more than one bad turn somewhere in life. It means that you probably have a felony criminal record already for other stunts that you have pulled, and that no one reputable will hire you for any sort of lawful activity. So by the time you got to this point, you're a multi-time loser, and that is nobody's fault but your own. So I have very little sympathy for people who continually make horrific mistakes and compound those mistakes. These are intentional acts that they're sitting here acting as predators on their fellow human beings. And, I don't have a lot of sympathy for you when you finally cross the wrong person who's got the capability and they take you out of the gene pool.
Out of the gene pool. There was a similar incident, and I'm not sure where this one occurred, but I would say probably Florida is a safe bet because there's a lot of shit that goes down in Florida. Where a guy was climbing into was burglarizing a house, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was Miami, Florida.
Was it in Miami? And the lady showed up and caught Dude Bro coming out the window, and she shot and killed him. And the backlash there was, well, he was a good kid. He was going to school, and how else was he going to be able to afford to buy clothes to go to school?
I believe that was his cousin who is credited with that quote, and she's just another little hoodlum that was grown up in a culture of taking instead of earning.
Right. I mean, it was always when I was in law enforcement, it was always mind-boggling to me to go into the parts of town where this type of mindset is prevalent, and to try to wrap my head around the fact that there are people who genuinely believe that they're not doing wrong by victimizing other people.
Well, the saddest thing is that is the natural human state. That is what man has done to their fellow man since prehistory. And the wonderful thing about this country is that we've, in large part, outgrown that. Everybody has an equal shot. Whether everybody takes advantage of that shot is a whole nother subject. But you have these subcultures within every city where they have rejected civility. They've gone back to a very savage and animalistic, predatory mindset. And it's not tied into any particular color or faith or region of the country. But there are just people out there who are too lazy to take advantage of the bounty this country has to offer, and would rather go back to the survival of the fittest. And I'd like to think we're a lot better than that, and that we can try to get back on the correct path here.
Right. We see how well the survival of the fittest mindset has paid off in these two examples that we've spoken about, where they've encountered somebody who's exercising their Second Amendment right to defend themselves and their property. And, as I understand, there were no charges filed against the lady in Miami, and there will probably be no charges forthcoming in this incident at the Pizza Hut.
Nope. These were both pretty clear-cut cases. I know the case in Florida, they were not going to charge the lady, and the one here in North Carolina, that's local to me. That is a pretty clear-cut case of self-defense. That one, it may get a rubber stamp that the district attorney looked at it, but that was a foregone conclusion before he hit the floor.
Yeah. I mean, in the commission of an armed robbery, when you wind up dead, you kind of don't have a leg to stand on in terms of, they should have. And here, oh man, and we'll get into this a little bit later about the armchair quarterbacks, the use of force continuums, and so on and so forth. That just drives me nuts. All the armchair quarterbacks talking about what they would have done and what the officer should have done, and it drives me to distraction. Everybody thinks that they know how things operate in the realm of law enforcement or self-defense, and they have no idea.
Yeah, I love when they all talk about, he should have shot him in the leg.
He should have tased him. He should have pepper sprayed him. Well,
my favorite thing in the world is to watch these activists when their local police department takes them out, gives them a simulations gun, and runs them through a scenario.
Right.
And the look of absolute horror when they fail, and they always fail. They either shoot somebody when they're not legally authorized to shoot, or they don't shoot fast enough and they get lit up.
Yep.
And I have yet to see a single one of these activists make a right call. And I've watched this go down in, I want to say, the Dallas, Texas area, where Quanell X of the New Black Panthers went through it and failed. There was Jared Maupin out in Phoenix with their Black Lives Matter group. He failed spectacularly. Everybody who runs through this and they think they know so much is pretty contrite once they get done, and they get a little bit of an appreciation for what it's looked like, or for what it feels like when you walk the walk for the first time.
You don't, this is not something that comes overnight. It's see, that's something that a lot of people forget when there's an officer involved shooting, is all of these officers have training, and I'm not talking about a day's worth of training. And especially when there's an officer involved shooting and the officer is a veteran, that these people, these armchair quarterbacks who have never worn a badge a day in their life, think they know better than a veteran police officer who's got years and possibly in some cases decades of training. It's hard for me to contain myself and be civil with people who think they know better than the professionals. But I mean, what are your credentials? What are your qualifications? How are you qualified to judge these police officers? What are your qualifications? You live probably in a, in most cases, unfortunately, where these types of acts occur, it's with, in low income areas or high crime areas or areas that are known to have drug trafficking, whatever the case may be. And, so what is your experience with law enforcement? Well, you've probably been approached by law enforcement a few times and found yourself on the wrong end of the law. Just because you deal with law enforcement in that manner does not make you a professional when it comes to weighing in on what law enforcement officers do and don't do.
That's absolutely correct.
Running them through these simunition and FATS scenarios, I think, is a great tool. I think more of them should get on board with that.
It would be really instructive, I think, and give people a much better understanding of what's going on. And what kind of worries me is I'm seeing Los Angeles and some of these other cities going out, and the community activists push for and successfully get these civilian review boards. But I'm not seeing any sign that any of these folks who are on the review boards, which, by the way, tend to be the very same squeaky wheel activists who push for them, are getting any training. So they're going in there, they've got these same mindsets like you were just talking about. Oh, I've been stopped a few times by cops for one reason or another, or I feel my community's being unfairly targeted, but they're not going in there and they're not getting any real education that's going to help them do that job at all.
Yeah, I mean, just because you've been stopped by the police a few times does not make you an expert on the Fourth Amendment, first of all. You might want to go read up on some case law before you start arguing about the police officers about what they can and can't do. And that's a whole nother topic. Oh my God, dude, you and I could spend a whole lot of time talking about this stuff.
It's what I do for a living.
Oh man. Oh man. And so I read briefly that you're, of course, naturally actively involved in firearms. Spend a lot of time on the range.
I do.
And you're involved in some organizations that are probably geared towards familiarization with and proper training on the use of firearms.
I do. It's been since I've taken this job full time, and I run it hard. I run bearing arms 6 to 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And so I don't have as much time to volunteer as much as I used to, but I was very involved in Project Appleseed, which is it's a beautiful civics lesson disguised as a marksmanship program. It uses World War I Army marksmanship fundamentals that, just really good, solid position shooting from standing, kneeling, sitting, and prone. But it also tells the story of what really happened on April 19th, 1775, which was the first day Americans identified as Americans. They went to war against British regulars and Royal Marines, and at the end of the day, instead of, when the day started, they were all British citizens. By the end of the day, we were Americans and British. And so I do spend I used to spend quite a bit of time with that, and I still support the organization quite a bit. And yeah, as you said, I do spend quite a bit of time training. I just got done with a class this past weekend.
Well, it's interesting to me that with the Appleseed Project that you're able to merge firearms training, which probably is enticing to a lot of people, with the history lesson, the civics lesson. That's an approach that probably a lot of people wouldn't have considered. You think that that's beneficial to the people who are attending the course to get a better understanding of their Second Amendment rights?
I think it's imperative. One of the smartest things they did in structuring this program is that it doesn't come out straight and say, this is the Second Amendment, you have to respect it. What they do is they come in and they give you context. They explain what the colonists were facing when the British were forming up and going out into the countryside during the powder alarms. And they were confiscating weapons and gunpowder and shot and any sort of military supplies after years of just crushing the rights of the colonists. And that morning, or actually it was just after midnight, when Paul Revere and William Dawes and other riders and alarm bells and other forms of signaling went out, they alerted the countryside that, look, the regulars are about. They're coming for your guns. And they're going to subjugate you. One of the most fascinating things about that day that most people don't think about it is the American Revolutionary War started because of a gun control raid. That's what it was on Lexington and Concord. They were going after their military supplies. But yes, it's fascinating to watch as we weave these stories in between courses of fire and explain the day and explain the actions of the individual participants that we've chosen to highlight, and just watch that light bulb go off. And people suddenly start to understand what the Second Amendment was there to protect. It's not about hunting. It's not about you going and practicing ski. The Second Amendment exists to reinforce your pre-existing natural right for self-defense against, not only criminals, but the predations of your own government.
And, and this is the same government that's telling you now, well, you can't have assault weapons. And that term just drives me insane. Assault weapon, because what other purpose does a weapon serve than to, if not to assault somebody, whether it's in, defensively or offensively, it's an assault. So, I mean, that's hair splitting.
Well, and assault weapon was entirely a made-up political term anyway. It didn't really mean anything. Assault rifle once, actually means something. It's an intermediate caliber selective fire weapon. Assault rifle has an actual technical military term behind it. Assault weapon is anything we decide looks scary, and it's generally black in color.
Yeah, it's got it's got a vertical foregrip on it, and polycarbonate stock, and probably some sort of optic on top of it.
Yep, and the shoulder thing that goes up.
Right. You could put something in front of one of these politicians that's trying to get this legislation pushed through, and they wouldn't know what the hell it was.
Oh, absolutely. And we have on more than one occasion had folks ask a person pushing this legislation, well, what's this? And they absolutely gag because they don't know what these guns are. They don't know anything about guns. All they know is that we want power. Guns in the hands of citizens keep us from getting the amount of power we want. Therefore, guns are bad.
Right. I mean, that's what it all boils down to. And we're right here at a break, Bob. So I'm going to take this break. Hopefully you've got time to hang out. We've got more to talk about.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a break, everybody. When we come back, we'll talk to Bob some more. And don't worry, guys. I see your questions. We'll field your questions and everything. But we'll be back here in about 9 minutes. This break's going to be about 9 minutes long. So stay tuned. WTF Nation Radio. I got to piss. Dude, I got to piss so bad.
Don't go pee.
Hey, do you want to do a sword fight? I got to piss too. You want to do a sword fight?
You got to go pee-pee?
I seriously have to go. I am about to fucking explode.
Oh, man. I thought I just had to go take a piss, but that turned into a big deal.
It turned into a deuce?
Guys.
But,
yeah?
Hey, Jack.
I'm going to shit my pants. Can I go now?
You got to stay. And you got to pull up your cam, though.
Shit my pants.
I don't want anybody shitting their pants.
Thank you so much. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'm going to send after Mama a text to let her know I'm okay because I'm about to shit my brains out, and I'd love to come back on.
Do you have a folder that's labeled with like a poop emoji? It might be in that one.
I haven't had any seafood recently, but I suspect this is food poisoning.
And get some fresh meat in here.
Oh, okay. There.
Thank you. That's what Six thinks about it.
Yeah, he's pissing.
Chops? Christ, he missed.
That was a lot of pissing. I really wanted to have a smooth, like, even flow here. I've seen you, Moose. You're a good-looking dude. I'd totally pee in your butt. That's not it.
What is this, high school?
That's disgusting. See, touching yourself, that's another thing you can get away with on radio.
Dude, like, I can totally get away with this. I'm going to shoot this dude.
Hit me.
$20 to the first listener to punch Cos in the fucking dick.
How you doing, Cos?
Hey, you know what, Pie? I got your $20, and I'll raise another $20 to the next listener that punches Redleg in the dick.
$20 to punch Raptor Mom in China.
Oh, fucking shit. Do you secretly hate me?
Yes.
Thinking about punching Raptor Mom in the China. Raptor Mom, you're going to
Make a video of it.
You're going to get punched into China so much.
Is that like punching the donut as Badger was talking about, except for punching the China?
What we should do is start an Indiegogo, and depending on how much you pledge, we get to see. So, like, maybe $5 to punch Raptor Mom in the China.
$5, motherfucker.
When people like pledge this shit, you actually see what they're pledging for. So then we can take all this money and say, okay, well, the most amount of money was donated to fucking hoof Raptor Mom's China.
Punt Raptor Mom in the pudding hole.
Oh my God, I miss you guys. Boom, beep, beep, boom.
I heard every bit of that, so let it be written, so let it be done.
The next motherfucker that starts acting up is going to get kicked in the China. Just saying.
All the way from Philly.
All the way from Philly. How would you like it if I walked around the apartment in Denver completely naked the whole time? And kick you in the China every time I saw you.
I'm going to make that a rule.
Raptor Mom, you and I are going to have a come to Jesus meeting after the show. I don't like your attitude.
Okay.
I'm going to kick you right in the China.
Like, is it like 2 kicks, or is this like the enhancement?
Oh, no, like just toe. It's going to be a toe kick.
Is it going to go in the China or
That's
just
what I'm
on the
hoping
China?
for. Oh, no, that's what I'm hoping for. Like, I'm not looking for like a shin kick. I'm hoping for like a toe kick that like inserts in the China.
Dude, that would be way more fun for me to watch than for you to actually do.
I don't know about that, brother.
Toe jam.
That might be a lot of fun for me.
You're right. You're right. You're okay. For your toe going into the Raptor Mom's.
Oh, I'm talking about toes. Like
toes, plural.
Oh, yeah. I'm jamming the whole.
Oh, like all 5 or like 4 of them?
Oh, yeah, all 5, dude. Like I'm coming in there like a upwards tomahawk right in the China. Like, it's got to get forced in, right?
That would
be at an awkward angle.
Okay, can we just agree that it would be equally hilarious for you and me?
So how will you tell?
Yeah, it's gotta be fun
After the
for
first-
everybody. Am I wrong? Right? Like either Redleg, you're gonna enjoy watching her accept my fucking foot China, then it's gonna be enjoyable for me. If she doesn't take it, it's gonna be unenjoyable for me and unenjoyable for her. But it's going to be enjoyable for you either way. So it's a win-win scenario for you.
So it'll be like assault.
Hey, Rapper 7, did you ever think that maybe she might like a complete foot in the China?
Fucking
did
old
you
man.
just on the cool call your husband a pussy?
You know what? All I want to do is put my foot in a pussy. That's so weird. Why is everybody going to make a big deal out of this?
Put her right in the pussy.
You tore it up tonight, bro. That was good. You had Matt Besties. He's cute. We talked about Nick Parmigiano. He's a faggot.
And some Jenna chick. I mean, she was supposed to be a model for Banana.
Jenna. Like, Mrs. Redleg really doesn't like her.
She was a cunt.
You know what? I really don't like Matt Best's friend either.
You and Mr. Redleg are both faggots. I never knew. I didn't know they made Uggs in your size.
I got them at a swap meet.
Well, you got a deal on them then.
How big are your tits?
8.5
How big are my tits?
Correct.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Why don't you get back across the border, motherfucker?
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was born in Texas. Thank you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Sure it does.
No, she's wrong. Like, we're supposed to stick together.
Well, you just said you were. Hey, I too have BAH. How about some dual BAH? What's up? How do you feel about Eiffel Towers?
I'm a little too old for a little Eiffel Tower now.
You mean a little too conservative?
Elizabeth's a pretty shitty Mexican name. Are you like whitewashed?
Well, inbred Jed, he's trying to fucking have a spelling contest over here.
Motherfucker. Don't disrespect us by calling us while you're sober. What the fuck kind of shit is that?
So you need to make sure that you're drunk no matter when it is, to make sure that
the quality of the call is as high as it is right now to make sure that we have as much fun with the call as we have tonight. Got it?
Okay, I will work on being drunk every night.
I said make us tamales.
Tamales.
Oh, no, bitch. I'm not making you tamales. What?
Go make us some tamales.
We want tamales.
Tacos.
I want some churros.
You want the churros? You need to go to the street corner, the vendor, and ask him for that.
Is that where we can find you?
No, you ain't gonna find me on a street corner, honey. You need to call
No,
in
she
for
said
my
she works on a
service.
stage,
Is that
not a corner.
Well, stage name, street name. Hey, she's drunk. She gets them confused.
I'll take pleasure in offending you, girl.
Oh, there's a lot of b-hole in here.
There's a lot of b-hole.
Look at this, dude. Look at that balloon knot. This
for you.
The doctor, she's kind of alluding to a finger in the butt on the next visit. I'm really looking forward to it.
I likes it in the butt.
Jesus Christ. What the fuck did you just say?
I don't know. Maybe I'm like 30% gay.
I bet you give a great blowjob.
I wouldn't want to put a bunch of bacteria in my pee hole.
Oh, shit.
Some of that Nigerian prince rubbed off on those dudes while they were there. I couldn't even get a finger in the butt. Sensational finger in the butt. How is that possible? And you sit your ass on it.
Supply the lube.
I'm just going to get naked. If you're on the receiving end of that shit, yeah, it's kind of a big deal. And then instantly everybody knows who I am.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so Badger, have you gotten a punch at the donut? And I don't lie to me.
Whoa, what's
fucking smoking trees like crazy over there, dude, and eating fucking feeding her kids marijuana, Rice Krispie treats and
like lynch, yeah.
Oh fuck, this one had I gotta go to. God damn it, Jay, ready?
I have kids, so
yeah.
Oh, come on.
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race car places, airplanes.
It's a
duck blur.
Might solve a mystery or rewrite
history.
Tales.
Sing it, Jack.
Making DuckTales.
Hi guys, we're back with the second half of the Monday edition here on WTF Nation Radio. Good evening. I'm your host, Redleg, and if you missed the first half of the show, you missed the first half of us talking to tonight's guest, Bob Owens. He is the editor and I guess major contributor over at Bearing Arms. Check him out at bearingarms.com. And we had some questions that the listening audience wanted to ask you, one of which, and I don't know if you caught the first hour of the show before you called in, Bob, but we talked about the potential for, in light of current events, especially as it pertains to race relations and the relationship between certain, I like to refer to them as domestic terrorist groups and law enforcement, the potential for maybe a civil war in this country soon. And when I say soon, I mean within, the next couple of decades, maybe, if things keep going the way they are.
Okay. So asking for my opinion on it?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. There are all sorts of elements that presage a civil war. They sit in societies for years with absolutely nothing happening. You've got all the ingredients, but they're not put together in the right mix. We have all those elements here. We have since the 1960s. There are several other nations in the world, in Western Europe right now, with the exact same mix of volatility. What we are lacking, and this is a good thing, is the spark that sets off the general population. We are very fortunate here in the United States that the vast majority of citizens realize that historically we've got a really good thing here. We're the most prosperous country that has ever been. We are so rich that obesity is a problem for the poorest citizens in our country. That has never happened, ever, anywhere. So it's a good place that we're at. And so it's going to take a lot, I think, to really set people off into a civil war. And for my friends who have been to Bosnia and Somalia and, Afghanistan and Iraq and different parts of Central America, working for various government agencies, both in DOD and outside of DOD, is you don't want this. There's always the few folks who have romanticized these things, but it's the last thing you ever want. Your friends and family members are likely going to die, folks. You're not as tough as you think you are. You're not going to overcome a horde of panicked human beings trying to feed their children, people who are just like you trying to get by. People turn into savages. There's nothing glorious about a civil war. It's not anything any sane person would ever want. And I'm hoping that saner heads will prevail. The right mix of bad things doesn't come together. Is there a possibility that it could happen? Yes, we do have all the potential elements for a civil war.
I think that possibility exists in any country, though. It's just like you said, that the spark that has to ignite it.
Yeah, it's and in a country like ours, it's going to be a much bigger spark than most. Somewhere, let's say Venezuela right now, these absolute socialist hellhole they're in. What have you got to lose by rebelling? You're already starving to death. Your kids don't have any food. What have you got, as you're sitting here with no medical care, no food, no plumbing, no clean water? You don't really risk losing much of anything. You've only got to gain at that point. Here, it's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
We're even the poorest of us can call 911 if we desperately need some form of medical care, and they're going to come get us. So, things as bad as they can be, as bad as the media tries to make out things to be, and I'm not even talking about just the mainstream media, but there's, a media of the fringes that makes a hell of a lot of money selling fear, just as much as the mainstream media does, just a different brand of it. So, I don't think that the threat is necessarily a realistic one, but I'm not going to write it off either.
It's obvious that currently in this country, especially over the past couple of years, that there's been a regression of race relations in this country, and I've said time and again on this show that I place a large part of the blame for this squarely up on the shoulders of the administration in the White House, specifically Barack Obama, who, at least in my eyes, is enabling the vocal minority who has an agenda that makes absolutely no sense. And also some of these other, like Carolyn Mosby is a prime example. Witch hunt, obvious witch hunt. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Justice Department. I think the Justice Department has an agenda, and I think that the executive branch of the government is enabling it and allowing it to happen, and it's tearing the country apart in the name of something that probably had good intentions at its inception, but due to misinformation, and I blame a lot of it on the mainstream media trying to boost their ratings. Anybody that listens to my show regularly knows how much I hate the mainstream media, and it's a money grab for them. So, I don't think people are seeing the big picture. I don't think people are educated enough. Is there a problem in law enforcement targeting minorities? Sure. But there always has been, but it's not as prevalent as the media would lead you to believe. So,
I would also add to that it's getting better. It seems like there is more of it now to folks because the evidence has not been there. But you've got dash cams everywhere. You've got body cameras becoming ubiquitous in many agencies. Everybody on the blinking earth has a smartphone with a camera on it now. So, 40, 50 years ago when things were really bad, there wasn't any evidence of the crime. It was his word against your word, And, unless there were a bunch of credible witnesses, the cop always got off. Well, these days, there's usually at least one or two cameras, no matter what goes down where. And so if anything is even mildly controversial, somebody gets their side of the story out, usually well in advance of the cops, and that's the narrative we end up running with, just like hands up, don't shoot down in Ferguson.
And it was proven through eyewitness testimony and forensics that Michael Brown didn't have his hands up. When, as a matter of fact, he was in close enough proximity to Darren Wilson when those shots were fired that there was powder burns, residue on the guy. Darren Wilson was fighting for his life.
Wilson was attacked in his car by Michael Brown. He tried to pull the trigger on him twice in the car, but Brown's hand was on the gun, and the gun was out of battery as a result.
Right.
The third time he pulled his hand back slightly, got a shot off, and that's the one that hit him in the hand. After that, Brown ran off, and Wilson, though still dazed, tried to do his duty as an officer, even though he'd been punched in the head a few times.
And
got out of his
orbital eye socket.
Yes.
Yep. Got out of that car and yelled at Brown to stop, at which point you could the blood trail from Brown's hand, it had that nice long dash pattern with lengthy strides in between it, showing that he was running, that he slowed down and the drops, gathered together, and then he turned, and then that same blood trail shows him running back at Wilson when he finally emptied the magazine of that SIG 40 caliber pistol and dropped him with the final shot.
Here's
to the top of the head.
I'm seeing this Thomas in the Facebook live chat says, "Oh God, not this again." Well, yeah, Thomas. Oh God, this again, because this if there was one pivotal moment in this nation where this whole us versus them mindset between the police and certain isolated pockets of the community started, it was in Ferguson, Missouri, because of like Bob said, one version of the story got out first, and regardless of the fact that the mainstream media finally backpedaled and recanted, said, well, that's not what happened, it stuck with so many people. So many people want to believe that the police are hunting unarmed innocent citizens and shooting them randomly for no reason, and armchair quarterbacking. Well, he should have tased him. Well, he should have pepper sprayed him. He should have hit him with his baton. That it's this is something that needs to be talked about, because it is that, like I said, I feel like that's the pivotal moment that led us to where we are with cops being hunted in the streets, ambushed. Guys are pulling up on them at traffic stops and shooting them.
There's two parts of the equation, though. It was not only the first time, I would actually go as far as to argue that it was the first time the media realized that they didn't need the facts. This was the first time that they realized they could get away with saying anything and not be called on it. Ferguson, what we heard in the first month was nothing but abject lies. Just the same way they demonized George Zimmerman. Now, granted, after, post-trial, George Zimmerman is a train wreck. He is an absolute mess with, pretty much no redeeming values. That said, most of what is commonly accepted about the Zimmerman trial is entirely false. I covered every day of that trial full time. And the whole, oh, he was stalking him, oh, he was following him, oh, the dispatcher told him to stop and he kept on going. All of that is factually untrue. So a lot of what we see from the Black Lives Matter movement is nothing more or less than Saul Alinsky tactics. They're lies designed to get out there before the truth, to try to tap in to sentiment in certain communities and exacerbate tensions and prejudices and run with them.
Which drives up ratings, which puts more money in somebody's pocket. That's why I hate the fucking media so much. Oh my God. I don't even want to talk about the media. because they're such scumbags. Somebody somewhere is making a lot of money off the sensationalism of what isn't even factual news, and fear mongering. Robert says Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group. I'm inclined to agree with you, Robert, on some levels. I think there are probably people in Black Lives Matter who have good intentions and drawing awareness to the maltreatment of minority groups by the police, whether actual or perceived. It's the way that the things are gone about. It's the way that things are carried out. Blocking the highways to protest something that, and I've seen live broadcasts on the mainstream media where they go out and talk to these, quote, protesters who are blocking the highway. And in one case here in Memphis, asked one of the protesters, well, what would it take for you to get down off of they were blocking the bridge between Tennessee and Arkansas. What would it take for you to get down off the bridge? And the only thing she could think of to say was, we want CNN out here. To do what? What's your agenda? What's the message? You just want to be on TV. I got an idea. How about the police start locking people up for impeding traffic?
Yeah.
Protesting? How is that protesting? Two wrongs don't make a right. Get off the fucking road. Go protest in front of the courthouse.
Yeah, and I feel a certain degree of pity as well for some of these folks within the Black Lives Matter movement. There are folks who at the lower level honestly feel oppressed, and they feel put upon, and they feel that the police are out to get them. And I sit here and I'm forced to think of the words of Malcolm X, of all people. You've been lied to. You've been bamboozled. You've been run amok. You've got a handful of activists with direct White House access, like D. Ray McKesson, who are going out and they're using Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals tactics, and they're trying to destabilize the government. If you look at the signs that are printed up, pre-printed, and carried at so many of these rallies, they come from Answer and other communist groups out of Chicago, who also has connections to Chicago, who knows something about the White House.
Yeah.
We have a president trying to destabilize his own government. And, there are folks out there who are feeling put upon, who are being lied to, and they're being used basically as cannon fodder in an ideological war. And I feel a great deal of sympathy for them. And I just don't think that they've got the sophistication in many cases to realize how badly they're being used.
They're not being educated as to the actual issues. They don't have all the information they need to make an informed decision. It's interesting that you mentioned Chicago. Chicago, a model community for relations between the populace and the police, and within their own neighborhoods and communities. Model community. That place is a fucking cesspool. Look at the violent crime there. I just thought it was funny that you brought up Chicago while we're talking about relations between citizens and police and the White House. Which, again, in case you didn't hear me the first 3 times I said it tonight, everybody, I lay the blame for all this at the feet of Barack Obama and his administration for enabling this kind of shit. Instead of taking a stand and saying, hey, how about let's respect law enforcement and educate ourselves and get out of the middle of the road, everybody. God, this shit drives me nuts. What kind of protest involves you blocking traffic and keeping ambulances from getting to hospitals?
Well, and there are certain people who did better jobs blocking traffic than others.
Well, yes.
If you catch my reference.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're blocking a successful blocking of traffic means the vehicles stop and don't run over you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a few involuntary speed bumps so far that I've heard of.
I love it. It's poetic justice. You're calling attention to to what you perceive to be unjust and illegal activities by illegally blocking the road and unjustly impeding my freedom of movement. You deserve to be run over. Get out of the way. Somebody says buy bigger trucks. Robert says buy bigger trucks. That's one solution.
Robert makes a very good point. It has been proven, and I cannot tell you how or why, that if you get more than one body stuck under your average passenger vehicle, it will cease to be able to go forward.
Jesse in the chat room says that he doesn't buy into Black Lives Matter because, and his picture went by quick, but he looked like a black gentleman. He says he doesn't buy into Black Lives Matter because evidently Black Lives Matter only when it involves the police and not when it involves anyone else. And I've heard that time and again. And if Black Lives Matter really wants people to get behind their movement, then they will point out that the fact that more young black men are killed in this country by people that live in their neighborhoods than by law enforcement. Again, there is no indiscriminate hunting of anybody by law enforcement. I like to think that the cops are the good guys in this country.
Well, I wrote a post, God, I bet it's been a year and a half, 2 years ago now, entitled Black Lives Don't Matter. And I just went through and kind of like Jesse alluded to, if Black Lives Matter, then this thing would be taken care of. We'd be looking at this major cause of, Black lives being eliminated from this earth. Right now, the number one killer of Black lives is Black women going to Planned Parenthood. The number two is just your average obesity and malnutrition and heart disease and things of that nature. Further down the list, we have young black males in gang-related narcotics trade crimes. If we really cared, we'd change the culture. We wouldn't sit here and try to blame the police for a much larger and wider cultural problem that they're forced to react to.
And it's unfortunate that people like Jesse, who by all accounts is an informed and intelligent young man, will be referred to by many of his peers as an Uncle Tom for agreeing with what we're saying. So it's systematic oppression by the very people who wish to not be systematically oppressed, and I hope that came out right.
Well, what you're talking about is the best analogy I have heard for the phenomena you're talking about is if you put a bunch of crabs in a pot on a stove and one of them starts trying to crawl out, invariably another one of those crabs will grab them and pull them right back down, trying to get out himself. And that's what we're seeing, unfortunately, from some folks in the minority communities, is folks realize that, hey, we're getting really hosed here. They're using us, but the people who are benefiting from this arrangement, the Al Sharptons and Jesse Jacksons and Sean Kings, who, by the way, if you're familiar with him at the New York Daily News, I like to call him Talcum X.
Clever.
And some of these other clowns, they are profiting. They are making money off of keeping their people in their own community down. It benefits them, not for the world to be a better place, because if the world's a rotten place, then they have power and they have influence.
Well, yeah. I mean, if your business is fighting injustices, once you have accomplished your mission, then you go out of business.
Pretty much. That sums it up quite well.
All right, guys. Top of the hour break. When we come back, if Bob's willing to hang out, we'll talk with Bob some more.
I can hang out for one more segment.
I was going to say, unless you got a book to go write.
Yeah, I've got that too. But
Bob,
I'll hang in there.
Bob Owens, everybody, the editor and I guess 50%
chief bottle washer,
head cook and bottle washer over at Bearing Arms. Go check them out, bearingarms.com. We'll take a break, guys. When we come back, we'll wrap the show up. Not much more left to go here. Less than an hour. WTF Nation Radio.
Hungry for another taste. You stumble around the time you waste, and your table's overturned. Sooner or later, you crash, then you burn. I think I wanna die tomorrow. And are you gonna be with me? I think I wanna die tomorrow. 'Cause I'm out of time and I'm out of my mind. The simple ways come and go. Still I love the way you turn me on. But I just can't find the words. 'Cause everything I say sounds so absurd. I think I wanna die tomorrow. Tired of being with me. I think I wanna die tomorrow. 'Cause I'm out of time and I'm out of my mind. But it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. And it's so embarrassing that I can't let go. I think I wanna live tomorrow. So will you come and breathe with me? Think I wanna live tomorrow. I'm tired of being with me. Think I wanna live tomorrow. 'Cause I'm out of time and I'm out of my mind. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you need. I don't care around my heart. Just instead of watching bleed. I don't wish upon a star. 'Cause I don't care who you are. 'Cause I'm out of time and I'm out of my mind. You can't save me if I can't save me. And you won't follow if I keep falling in. And you won't listen to what I'm saying. 'Cause I'm so broken.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Wished you could
Hello, everybody. We're back for the third and final hour of the Monday edition here on WTF Nation Radio. If you're just joining us, welcome. I'm your host, Redleg, and I'm joined tonight by Raptor Mom and Jim Beam, as well as our guest tonight, Bob Owens, who does a lot of, by all accounts, does like a day job and then a whole shit ton of work over at bearingarms.com, where he is the editor, major contributor, and head cook and bottle washer. Welcome back, Bob. I know what it's like to wear a lot of different hats at an organization. So we've talked to you for an hour tonight, but we haven't spoken much about your website. And how,
I do have one of those, don't I?
How did that get started? And
well, that is a interesting tale in and of itself. Bearing Arms, you know how sometimes you'll have a website get started and then the social media accounts will spin off of a website?
Right.
Well, Bearing Arms is just the opposite of that. Town Hall Media owns a bunch of different web properties, and they created a bunch of different Facebook pages. One of those that they created a number of years back was Second Amendment supporters. Second Amendment supporters got a pretty decent amount of traffic right out of the gate because, hey, folks like guns, folks like freedom. So, hey, we need to monetize this and create a website. And so Bearing Arms was born a number of years ago. And it was doing pretty good. And in 2013, they decided that they needed somebody as a full-time writer. They'd been using Town Hall Media interns to post, pro-gun memes and pictures and things of that nature, but they decided they wanted to take it to the next level. Well, at the time, I was in between gigs. My prior life, I was a web developer, a code monkey, but I'd always been into guns, and I had gotten laid off and had been out of work for a while and was sitting here on Twitter, of all things, and just quipped online, hey, does anybody want to hire me to write about guns for a living? Just as a complete lark. And lo and behold, Katie Pavlich over at Town Hall, who you may see on Fox News from time to time, including on election night, sent me a direct message and goes, actually, Bob, I do have somebody you need to talk to. And that was in the summer. That was August of 2013, and I've been doing it ever since.
And then there's a lot of content at bearingarms.com. I mean, you probably don't have time for much else. The occasional radio show and, maybe writing a book.
Well, yeah, there's that. I go out and I try to put out a good 4 to 6 stories a day, which is a pretty stout amount. Your average journalist is going to put in usually a story a day or a story every couple of days, and I try to do 6. Somewhere between 4 and 6. Usually I'm shooting for about 3,000 words a day, which is pretty aggressive. And then when I can, I do radio, usually once or twice, sometimes 3 times a week. I do a little bit of TV, believe it or not, over with Dana Lash over at The Blaze. And for some reason, I'm extremely popular in the UK with BBC and Sky News. So they get to hear this funky accent in British. I can only imagine what I sound like to British folks.
Oh my God. Let me get Pi on the phone.
Yeah.
Let me try to get this dude on the phone.
So that's fun. And yeah, and I also have a book that is currently in development, and also I go out and to try to keep competent about all these different use of force things that I write about. I try to get out and train at least a couple of 100 hours every year.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's a perishable skill. So, if you want to be,
it is.
If you want to maintain your level of competency with firearms, you got to go to the range. And oh, by the way, ICE has got the hots for.
To an automatic voice message
What the hell's
system.
going on here?
91052.
I hung up on this a long time ago. How is this still going? By the way, ICE has got the hots for Katie Pavlich. Might want to put in a good word for him.
Well, I will go ahead and tell you that Katie's heart has already been stolen.
He doesn't care.
Well, Gadsden might. He's her golden retriever.
Oh.
And she's committed to her career at least at the moment. And by the way, she's a hell of a shooter too. We've done a class together and we've gone hunting before. So she is not your typical journalist who doesn't know one end of a gun from the other. She does know her stuff, and that probably just made her more attractive, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
To this listening audience, it did. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And she's good people.
And she's good people. That helps.
Yep. I know her. I know her brother, and I know her parents. They are all good folks.
I must have missed something over here in the Facebook Live chat. Somebody wants to hear you give a reason for something, but I missed what question he asked about what reason for.
Can you give the real reason the founding fathers gave us the right to bear arms?
The founding fathers did not give us the right to bear arms. That is a pre-existing natural right. All the founding fathers did was reflect that when they wrote the Second Amendment. To them, it did. When they wrote the Constitution, the reason it was not in the original Constitution is it was simply understood to already exist to them. They went ahead and added it as an amendment just because, they thought that, there may be some idiots at some point in the future that don't recognize this self-evident right. So maybe we need to go ahead and codify this. That's the only reason that was ever included. The right to bear arms you were born with. You were endowed with it by your Creator at birth. You were given life. That life is worth protecting. That is your right to bear arms, was you were born. All they did was codify that, have it on paper just to say, look, we've checked that box. The Second Amendment gives you nothing.
Yeah. It's just there to... that just goes to show how forward thinking they were. Like to say, well, we had better put this on paper lest somebody think otherwise. And fast forward to where we are now. What amendment of the Constitution is assailed more than the Second Amendment? Try to take somebody's First Amendment rights. Oh no, you can't do that. But the Second Amendment's been under assault for forever. Gun control.
The Second and the 10th and the 9th are and the 9th and 10th are never talked about. But the Constitution and people today we're so screwed up in what we don't know. The Constitution didn't give us rights. The Bill of Rights did not give us rights. The purpose of the Constitution and Bill of Rights was to put chains on government and tell the federal government, this is all you are allowed to do. And where we started screwing up royally was in letting government take more and more of rights that belong to the people, rights that belong to cities, and rights that belong to the states. The federal government should not have near the power that it does. And the founding fathers would be appalled by what we've let this nation become.
Because it's just a little bit here and a little bit there, and we'll just kind of do this, and maybe nobody will notice, and it compounds, and it becomes more and more bloated and more oppressive, and the executive orders that are being passed and so on and so forth. You're right. The founding fathers would be appalled at how badly the documents, the founding documents of this nation, have been bastardized for the use of those who would wish to exert their control over the citizens here. That's not what they had in mind. I like to think that's not what they had in mind. I don't know if that's what they had in mind or not. I wasn't around back then. It's pretty clear, though.
The wonderful thing about the founding fathers is most of them left behind a huge treasure trove of letters and pamphlets and documents that let you know pretty much what they were thinking. They, considering their time period, they were really clear at what most of them wanted. They had just overthrown a massive, corrupt, taxation-crazed, foreign, faraway government. So, of course, they didn't want to create the same thing here. They would have fought against what we currently have in Washington, D.C. They'd be appalled that we have government agencies that never were outlined in the Bill of Rights. They could understand, I believe, something along the lines of the IRS. They could understand a postal service. They could understand a Department of Defense. They would have been appalled by a Department of Education and Health and Human Services and Social Security and all of these other powers that the government created for itself to take money from the citizenry and decide where they want to put these things.
Well, let's talk a minute about, since I have you here, your opinion of the Founding Fathers' intention of an army. Excuse me, of an army, and it's pretty clear that it's for national defense. But how do you define national defense? And do you think that that the army is serving its intended purpose by these protracted actions over in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places scattered all over the globe?
That's a darn good question. And I think it really depends on which group of the founders you want to look at. The anti-federalists would have definitely been appalled at engaging in faraway foreign wars that don't really seem to benefit us. That said, Thomas Jefferson was our first president who went to a foreign war when he took on the Barbary pirates in what was, I believe, 1803. So, foreign wars have always been part of who we are. Now, the rationale for them and the way that they are waged, and without a formal declaration of war, Congress cravenly gave that power up to presidents, which they never should have done. They would not have been happy with how we do war. As far as how the existence of a federal army at this day and age, I think they would understand that while a militia is good to keep the federal government honest, and I think that they would agree that the number of citizens we have with small arms is a fairly effective militia to keep a federal government in check. I really wonder if they would approve of us having a military as large and as powerful as we have, or if that does not supersede what they seemed to primarily view as a defensive force.
And I see that's where I think that years of excuse me, God, I drank all my water and now I'm getting all choked up. I think that's where years of politicizing and kind of pulling the wool over people's eyes has come into play. Where, well, I mean, you've got an army whose job is national defense, but then they, we're sending these kids abroad to go fight in Iraq and Afghanistan to, quote, defend the nation's interests. That's a bit of a stretch in my eyes. That, to me, does not seem like national defense. Now, if we're taking the fight to ISIS, who, ostensibly poses a threat to the United States and security of the citizens within our own borders, that to me is a little bit different than going over and liberating a country from somebody who the day before yesterday you didn't even know the name of. So mm-hmm. I think maybe that, and this may be an unpopular opinion among some of the listeners, but I think we're sticking our nose into business that does not pertain to us. Our military is.
I think if you look at the way the founders structured things and their general view towards engaging and the, I have to think that they would want these countries these citizens that if they wanted to overthrow an oppressive government, we'll give you all the moral support. And if you need to, if you want to buy guns or ships or things of that nature to help you, we're there for you. I don't think that they would have been real happy with American lives and treasure being spent to exert influence over a foreign population. That is what they fought to defeat in the British, was people in a faraway land, essentially back in jolly old England, telling us how to live. So I think that they would take sort of a dim view of that sort of involvement.
I agree. I mean, and that's an interesting way of looking at it. That we are kind of exerting across the seas our influence upon a country the same way that the British Empire was doing with the colonies, and that's one of the things that we were trying to get out from under. But I guess the simplistic, purest view of it is that the military of the United States exists for the purpose of defending the country. And what the hell are we defending over in Iraq and Afghanistan and in Korea? I mean, I get our interests abroad, whatever, fine. Look at what our interests abroad are costing us. We got guys coming home in a casket whose family's getting booed on a flight by first-class passengers who probably couldn't point out Iraq or Afghanistan on a map. And I guess I'm a little salty about that.
As you should be. That's just basic respect for somebody who gave their all, who, they didn't ask to go to any particular place. They put on a uniform with the promise and the pledge that they were going to put everything on the line for liberty, whatever that meant. And they don't ask or question. They trust us as citizens to elect good people to make those decisions for us. And, when you have idiots like these first-class passengers booing a Gold Star family, these families gave all based on decisions that we made. You want to hold somebody to blame for your flight being late? Sit here and look at who you elected, folks.
No, I mean, this is going to be an interesting first 100 days. I don't think that this nation's seen anything like this ever. I mean,
you know what I would like to ask those guys on that flight? How would you like to be on a flight on 9/11? How late would you have been then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you like to be in a box down the cargo hold? There's just there's no respect, there's no consideration. And as a young private, 17, 18 years old when I first joined the military, I thought I was going to make a difference, save the world. I saw things a little differently than I do now. And I'm a little salty about what the games that these politicians are playing. And boy, this conversation took a weird turn, but they're using these kids as pawns in their games, and I don't want anybody to misconstrue these comments. I have nothing but the utmost respect and love for all of you who get up every morning and put on a uniform and do what you're ordered to, and go forth into the fucking wild west over there in the Middle East, and deal with the possibility of being blown up by IEDs, or being shot by some goat fucker over there who doesn't even know what you're doing over there. I mean, he doesn't know any more about why you're over there than you do. And it makes me ill that these politicians, are using you guys as pawns. And I say you guys because I haven't worn a uniform in almost 20 years. Oh my God, I feel old now. So, we're here for you. Circle back around. That's why we do this show. For you guys. It's so I can share my stupid opinions with all of you. And have an awesome guest.
Damn right, awesome guest.
Yeah. I've had a fantastic time tonight. We've talked about some subjects that ordinarily I would only briefly touch upon, but we've really gotten into it. And hopefully, maybe we've opened some eyes tonight about, people tend to live in the here and now, and they don't understand where we came from, where we've come from as a country. And, the rights that you have that, like you said, are endowed by your creator, or whatever you believe in, or however you want to view it. I mean, that was an interesting viewpoint that you mentioned, that it didn't originally occur to the founding fathers to put in there the Second Amendment to the Constitution, because they just, it was unthinkable that anybody would feel otherwise. Like, I have a right to defend myself, and it's just a natural right.
It's amazing how 240 years can change a country as much as it has.
It is, and you can look at it from the angle of it's the government saying, well, we know what's best for you. We're going to protect you. I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
That always goes well.
If we take everybody's guns away, then nobody will shoot anybody anymore. My aching ass.
That's not technically true. It's just that the people who will be shooting other people will be wearing government uniforms, and there's not going to be a damn thing anybody else can do about it.
Well, I mean, I've always felt like that that a case study in how this will go down is the city of Chicago, Illinois. Who has guns in Chicago? People who have them illegally and would do you harm and would take your possessions from you by force. The law-abiding citizens all said, well, the law says we can't have guns, so we're not going to have guns. Now, but the government knows what's best for you guys. Just like the Pizza Hut should have been a gun-free zone. That poor kid. He was a good kid. I just misunderstood.
He didn't do nothing.
Didn't do nothing.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Being facetious. The kid deserved what he got.
Went to church every Sunday morning.
Right.
He would just want a pizza. How else could he pay for it?
He wanted he could rob the Pizza Hut to pay for his pizza. This article, I mean, I almost thought it was a joke. I thought it was from The Onion or Duffel Blog or something when I first read it. The parents of this dead robber are really mad his victim had a gun. Well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, it's one of those things you couldn't make it up if you tried.
Why in the hell did this guy have a gun? That's what the mother wants to know. To defend himself against armed robbers. We had a.
Why the hell did her son have a gun?
Well, that's a good question. Well, but it's the only way he could provide for himself, Jim. He, unemployable, I guess, because.
Oh, so he was out foraging for food.
Yeah. There was a convenience store here, Bob, that kept getting robbed over and over and over. Easy access to the highway to get out of town, so stop and rob, that kind of place. Mm-hmm. And this was before my time. This was before I was a cop in the city. And the cops had enough of it, so they set up a still watch in the beer cooler. And sure enough, first night, some guy comes in, pulls a gun out, and sticks it in the cashier's face. And immediately gets blown to pieces by a load of double-aught buckshot. First trouble. The cop that was sitting in the beer cooler filled the dude full of .32 caliber pellets.
That'll tend to put a damper on your crime spree.
The robbery stopped at that particular place for a long time.
At about 1,500 feet per second.
Yeah. So it. Fast forward to when was it? 2007, whenever that the kid that got shot and killed that had the toy gun in his waistband?
Tamir Rice in Cincinnati.
No, this was
Cleveland.
no
Cleveland. Yeah.
I'm talking about Deontay Farrow.
Okay.
Here, same city, coming from the same gas station. Freaking, a decade or better later. Known high crime area. Toy gun in his waistband. Officer orders him to stop and put his hands up. What's he do? Reaches into his waistband and starts drawing the toy gun out. .40 caliber in the chest 2 times. So, yeah. This perpetuation, generation upon generation upon generation, this vicious cycle of, go to school, get a fucking education, and get out of there. You're oppressing yourself by buying into that lifestyle. Now I'm getting all preachy.
Preach on, brother.
I mean, that's the way I've always viewed it. You have the same opportunities as everyone else. Just because you live in a bad neighborhood. It's the same public school that I went to in the city. I'm doing all right, I guess. I got a radio show where I get to get on and spout off about stuff that I know a little bit about, but not a whole lot. Oh, there's AA Ron. Messed up AA Ron. My God. So one article that I read on breaking news on Bearing Arms today.
Breaking arms on Bearing News
was the name of the now deceased cop killer from St. Louis. Really caught my attention.
Why would that stand out at all?
I don't know. George Bush the third.
Yeah. Does tend to get your attention.
He paid dearly for his transgressions. Any word, I mean, if anybody would know, it's you. The specifics on how many times this dude was shot. Or are they not being forthcoming with that information?
They have not released the exact details. But he was moving and shooting, so I imagine if they were engaging with handguns, a handgun has never knocked anybody down yet, despite what the movies tell you. And I would not be surprised if he ate 3 or 4 or 6.
Right. Because anybody that knows anything about firearms knows you shoot to neutralize the threat. Well, if the dude's still up and moving, he's still a threat. So, pew pew pew. Fucking probably a magazine a piece for maybe 4 or 5 cops later. We'll figure shooting and moving, high stress situation. A good liberal estimate would be half the rounds that are fired hit this dude, probably more like a third. She's still got a lot of lead poisoning as a result of his troubles.
Yep.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good riddance.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
That is one of the most common sayings from readers on the Facebook page.
It's true.
It is. I mean, you sit here and decide to see if you can beat a gang that has between 5 and 35,000 members in every city, supported by the government, with guns and paid pepper spray and batons, patrol rifles, and specialized teams, and radios to call other members of that same large government supported gang.
Right.
Bad things are going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And the rest of us aren't going to feel what's so sad for you.
People still fucking... and I don't want to get too far into this, but I mentioned earlier in the show that I kind of wanted to broach a subject about these people who get pulled over for traffic violations and want to argue with the cops about the sovereign citizen types, and I don't have to give you my license. I don't have to identify myself. Am I being detained? Am I being detained? What the fuck do you plan to prove by arguing with the cops? The dude's just trying to do his job. Hey, give him your fucking driver's license.
I want him to tase those fuckers. Say, hell yeah, you're being detained. Get the fuck out. But I understand.
mean, this is the other extreme. I know my Fourth Amendment rights. You might think you know what the Fourth Amendment says. Just give him that never goes well for those guys.
It doesn't, and I'm convinced that about 90% of them got a pot possessions charge when they were 15 and have never been able to forgive the cop.
But the thing is they act like it's a personal thing between them and the police officer. This cop doesn't know that you got a minor possession charge when you were 15. He doesn't know you. Unless he does, nope. Which is probably odd. Small town, dude's been a cop forever, but I mean, roll your window down an inch and talk to the dude through the crack and tell him and ask if you're being illegally detained and you don't have to identify yourself. The cop's just trying to do his job. Stop being a dick. I don't get it, man. Why do people want to be combative with the police? You're never going to win that fight.
No, I've never once heard of the officer going, you know what, sir? You're absolutely correct. Have a nice day.
Yeah. You cite case law to me. Can you do that? Oh, I love it when you talk case law to me.
And everybody's a lawyer.
Yeah, everybody's a lawyer. My parents raised me to respect the police. In sharp contrast to some of these other parents who raise their children to have no respect for the police, and it's us versus them, or even worse, to be afraid of the police.
Yeah, and that is one of the saddest things that I see is these poor traumatized 4-year-olds who've had no contact with the police in their lives at all. And the first time they see an officer roll up, you see that look of abject terror on their faces. And you realize that it's not anything the officers did. It's what the parents did to their own children.
Yeah, I mean, people have to be taught things. People have to be taught to be afraid of the police. People have to be taught to hate. Parents, to teach your children not to hate somebody based on the color of their skin. Here I am getting preachy again. That's what it is, man.
Damn, you're ugly.
It's the golden rule. I mean, my God, how hard is it to treat people the way you'd want to be treated? I don't know. The whole thing's. But I feel, Bob, like we're just kind of headed down a path that we can't return from as a country. We got to get turned around somehow.
Well, that's just it. Once you get to this stage, people, I believe, are going to start realizing that, we have been taking things for granted for a very long time. And it's my sincere hope and belief that there's a lot of folks out there listening to us right now who are going, you know what? This really stinks, the way we're doing things right now. We're better than this. Our kids deserve better than this. Let's get off our butts and make this the country it used to be and can be again. And, I don't have any particular love for our president-elect. I'm very cynical about what he's actually, trying to accomplish and if he's the man to do the job. But regardless of who's sitting in that office at 1600, the rest of us have got the opportunity and the ability to make this country great again, and we ought to take advantage of it.
Well, I mean, the opportunity to make this country great again exists right now, all the time, always has. And people just got to, somebody's got to make a move. I mean, we're going the wrong way. That's why I harp so much on this Black Lives Matter movement in the current administration. We're going the wrong way. We got to turn it around. And it's not all about race. The differences between us exist because we caused it. We manufacture these differences, I think. Both sides are at fault, or all sides are at fault. I don't think there's a left and a right. I think it's comes from all directions. We got to work together as humans, the human race. We ain't got much time left anyways. Global warming, fucking poles are melting.
Is it global warming this week, or are we back to global cooling? I can't keep up with it.
I don't know. I'm no scientist.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm only 45, but I've been through threats of ice ages twice, global warming once, now generic climate change, and then there was an ozone layer issue thrown somewhere in the middle. So it's about every 10 years we've got a new existential threat to the environment.
Yeah. We're going to be all right. I mean, I think I'll live to at least like 50 or 60 maybe. Ain't got far to go now.
Boy, you're just full of sunshine and rainbows, aren't
Yeah,
you?
no, it's the end of the show. I start getting tired and I get cranky.
Eat a Snickers.
I should.
Sorry, that was.
Just call my wife and tell her to bring me a candy bar back here.
You're acting like Kaepernick.
Oh. Maybe I should brighten up then. Maybe I should let Bob get started on his book. He got a whole book to write.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I've only got about 69,000 words to go.
Oh, well, you better get started.
Yep.
Bob, it's been a pleasure, man. I've really enjoyed having you on the show. We'll have to do it again soon. I guess Raptor Mom knows how to get in touch with you. Well, now I know how to get in touch with you.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Might drunk dial you one night.
You would be the first person to do it.
All right. Bob, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody go check Bob's work out. Bob writes a lot of articles over on Bearing Arms. And I mean, are you actively involved with anything else, like as far as your writing is concerned, on other sites or anything?
Other than Bearing Arms, the only place you will see me pretty much these days is if I'm cited by some other media source, or if you go out on the social media type scene, you can find me on Twitter at Bob_Owens. And there's a couple of new fresh pictures of me hanging out the ass end of a little bird shooting at things.
Oh. So you're not hanging out with Katie over on
Katie's up in Alexandria, and I'm down here in Raleigh. So the only time I usually run into Katie that often is on those rare occasions I go up towards D.C. for work, or we're either hunting or we're taking a shooting class.
I've seen her on Fox News, and she was on CNBC before too.
She does the rounds, and I think she writes over at the Hill on occasion as well as Town Hall. She's a smart cookie. She's scary smart and acts like somebody who's a heck of a lot older than she is in terms of her wisdom.
And it's pretty good with a gun.
And it's pretty darn good with a gun.
That's a plus.
Yep.
All right, Bob. We'll let you get to your book writing. 69,000 more words. You can get that done before you go to bed tonight.
Yeah, why not?
Thanks for joining us, man. Hope we get to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.
Positive feedback from having you on the show tonight.
Awesome. It really had a lot of fun, guys.
All right, man. Thank you. Best of luck to you with the book writing. Let us know how it turns out. And when you get it published, we want to buy a copy.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and tell my publisher I've got one commitment. Well, two. I think Mom will too.
Yeah, I will.
Oh, you mean your mom?
I meant my mom. But okay. We're up to three.
There's three.
That's pretty good.
There's three.
Awesome.
All right, man. Hey, thanks again, Bob. Have a good night.
Okay.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.
Bob Owens, everybody from Bearing Arms. Go check him out, bearingarms.com. He's also on Twitter. Busy guy. I've every time it seems like every time you go over to bearingarms.com, there's a new article that he's written.
Yes.
And a lot of it is just what you'd expect from a guy like him. It is a current event story. And, he tells the facts, and then beneath the facts, there is his opinion, which is oftentimes humorous. The majority of it is obviously, as you would expect from a site called Bearing Arms, revolves around the use of a firearm for various and sundry reasons, often by law enforcement, sometimes by citizens who are, licensed to carry or, exercising their Second Amendment right to own a firearm to defend themselves. Always a good read over there. And then, and he's on Twitter a lot, and he's writing a book, in case you didn't pick up on that.
Oh, Ice wants to buy a book, so he's up to 4 copies
4.
now.
There you go, Bob, if you're listening. 4 commitments. Tell your publisher that you're going to be a bestseller now. Because the four of us are going to buy a book. Us 3 and your mom. That almost sounded like an insult when I said that. And your mom. One more thing that I wanted to touch on before I wrap the show up tonight was an article that caught my attention simply because I feel like the mainstream media, again, is just trying to dredge up some shit to start something. Who among us does not like General Mattis?
Oh.
Everybody likes General Mattis. Leave it to the fucking USA Today to try to stir up some shit just as General Mattis is being considered for Secretary of Defense by President-elect Donald Trump. The story here for the USA Today says that that General Mattis oversaw a key command in 2005 that failed to field urgently needed combat vehicles to Iraq to protect Marines from roadside bombs. In the first paragraph, they come out slinging mud. It says that there was a 2008 Pentagon IG report singled out the Marine Corps Combat Development Command, which Mattis commanded during 2005, for its role in failing to act on an urgent plea for MRAP vehicles to replace vulnerable Humvees. The result, USA Today found out in 2007, was a months-long delay in fielding MRAPs. It eventually replaced nearly every Humvee in Iraq and Afghanistan after Defense Secretary Robert Gates made them the Pentagon's #1 priority. Gates did so after reading about their superior protection against roadside bombs to Humvees in USA Today. So USA Today is tooting their own horn twice in that paragraph. It says, instead of acting on the plea from the Marines in 2005, the command under Mattis accepted the Marine Corps Commandant's decision to replace its poorly protected Humvees with better armored ones. The request for MRAPs subsequently languished. So they're trying to pin this on General Mattis, even though it says specifically in that paragraph that it was the Commandant of the Marine Corps' decision to replace its poorly protected Humvees with better armored ones instead of the MRAPs. How the hell does the USA Today purport to pin this on Mattis and then say that it was the Commandant of the Marine Corps' decision in the same fucking news story?
It just goes to show the intelligence of whoever wrote this article. Because, if this was delayed, I'm pretty sure it wasn't General Mattis's fault, because there's fucking red tape everywhere.
I don't think,
and we all know that.
I don't think this is a matter of intelligence, Raptor Mom. I think this is a matter of the mainstream media, again, like I always say, trying to boost their ratings by slinging mud. General Mattis is viewed as a demigod by probably everybody, every Marine in the Marine Corps now and those who served under him.
Of course.
He's widely respected military-wide, not just in the Marine Corps, but, the entire Department of Defense.
And he's widely, respected across, with civilians too.
So for the USA Today to grasp at straws and somehow try to pin on him the fact that the Commandant of the Marine Corps said to send them up-armored Humvees instead of MRAPs is irresponsible journalism. Again.
Exactly. And you know what?
I just think the liberal media is trying to affect the appointments.
Right here. The
They don't like
headline.
the guy, so they don't want him there.
The headline reads, Mattis and Marines balked on life-saving MRAP vehicles.
But you know what's interesting is they pointed this, they're doing this, I guess, as you said, irresponsible journalism of a news article on General Mattis. What about the fucking months that they have just pretty much worshipped the ground that Hillary walked on, and she has done like shit that would not only put us in prison, but it's just like she's a fucking devil. She is the devil of like all people.
Let's take the left wing completely. Let's take the libtards and the left wing completely out of the equation. Let's just say, and entertain me here. Entertain my thought here.
Okay.
The USA Today knows that Mattis is being considered for Secretary of Defense. Just take the liberals completely out of the equation. What better way to draw attention to your publication than to say that the man who's currently being considered for Secretary of Defense by the President-elect of the United States of America balked on life-saving MRAP vehicles in the headline. So that's all it is. It's a ploy to draw attention to their publication, generate ad revenue, and stuff it in their greedy-ass fucking pockets. Mm-hmm. I'm taking politics completely out of the equation and saying that this is USA Today trying to make a buck. I hate the mainstream media with a passion.
Well, an article we talked about earlier today was I guess I'm going to say I can't remember the entire headline, but it basically stated that a guy who was adopted but was deported, saying that this person was adopted a long time ago and then we just up and deported him, which was totally not the case. It was a gentleman, or sounds like he was a thug, but anyways, his parents adopted him and his sister, and ended up with not only that adoptive parents, they gave him up or something happened, ended up with another set of adoptive parents, and then they got busted for child abuse and stuff, and they ended up in the orphanage. Well, he ends up not being your productive member of society, has felonies against him and stuff, and I guess come to find out, the people that had custody over him never applied for his citizenship as a child. So I guess this one day, 40 some years of age, decides to go and apply for citizenship, and Department of, Customs and all them, ICE, there you go, deported his ass for his crimes. And they're acting like we just deported, some person that was adopted. So yeah.
So maybe we did deport somebody who was adopted. So what?
Exactly.
Fuck him.
If they were a shitbag, they can go.
Who gives a shit?
But it was all to, gain, people's attention towards that article.
Yeah. They spin it. The media spin. Oh my God. And that brings us to the closing maybe the goddamn phones will work. Yes, he's Army, Robert. Maybe the phones will work and somebody can call in and talk to him. Other than me. These damn phones. I got to get out of here, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a good Thanksgiving. I hope everybody gets to eat well and is safe. Drive safe if you're traveling. I'll see all of you again a week from tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you, Jill.